WINO forever, WINO forever, WINO forever, WINO forever, WINO forever, WINO forever, WINO forever.
This is WINO Forever, the Deeppening podcast. We are now on, oh my God, episode 18. So my name is Sarah. I always forget that part. I am joined by Arm of broadcast fame. And he is...
Speaking of fame, before I forget, this will come out later, but I had always speculated, I always thought it was a rumor that Depp indeed, because I dug up an article from him in the 80s when he first got cast in Nightmare on Elm Street, and the local paper in Florida did an article on it, like local kid does good kind of thing. And he indeed auditioned for the television show Fame and didn't get it.
Oh my, thank God.
The television show, not the movie. There's a television show, which I don't...
No, thank God.
I don't remember watching extensively. I know it was on. My sister watched it. I would like to go back and see it because I believe a lot of it was shot in that gritty time in New York in the early 80s.
Okay,
early
yeah,
to mid
you
80s.
probably like it.
But he auditioned for that and didn't get it.
Good. I'm very happy. That is not on his resume.
I wonder how would things have changed if he got that role.
I'm picturing that 21 Jump Street episode with Michael DeBar, where they all go to like the Fame.
That's so funny you bring that up. God damn it! Right, that's the whole show.
Well, they all go to that stupid Fame episode. That
Season
Fame
3.
school. It's a horrible episode, in my opinion. I know you love Michael DeBar, so it's probably one of your favorites. But
I do. Like he's really very interactive on Twitter. If anybody gets a chance.
I know. I had to mute him because he was so annoying.
I think we can get him on the show. He has 2 episodes.
Probably.
I love the second one he did in season 4 when he plays the nightclub owner with Depp's ex, Hanson's ex is his wife, and I love that episode.
I will only allow that if he sings Obsession, and then that's it. I don't care. That song, that thing plays, that is one song you have to turn all the way up.
Who do you want me to be to make me sleep with me? He does an acoustic version on YouTube. That's his. Did he do it on Miami Vice?
Yeah, I don't. Yes, he did. He was on Miami Vice for an episode, which I have to get back into.
The one that's a guy. He and Stephen Williams. If you look at their IMDb's, good Lord.
Let's have a round table with Michael DeBar and
Stephen Williams.
Yeah. I want to say Stephen DeBar. I don't know why. I'm tired.
That would be phenomenal. Honestly, you think, you got to have big stars to do. You get 2 character actors like that who've done like hundreds of things. I think that's far more interesting than a big star who only does one thing a year. They have so many stories, and they're both pretty damn candid to tell them. They name names. I would love. That's a phenomenal idea by you.
Oh, okay. Well, the only thing I would ask Michael DeBar outside of Johnny Depp stuff would be the Obsession stuff, but also I need to know his ex-wife Pamela slept with Jim Morrison.
Yes, I'm with the band. Well, Winona Ryder's also I'm with the band.
Yeah, well, I need to know like Jim Morrison in the sax stories.
He could give you all that stuff. That's what. Have you ever listened to he is all the classic rock dirt. He dishes it. He names names.
But ladies,
what's the big line? What's his big monologue at the end of that episode? He goes, Officer Hardigan, love makes a man weak. I learned that early on, but you never learned it at all.
Rest your
Look
voice.
around, Linda. This gallery is solely for you.
Don't strain your voice right now. So we are going to, in just a moment, we have some Depp stuff to.
But wait a minute. Wait.
Okay.
Did we not use that at some point when we talked about Depp and the midlife crisis pussy fog? Well, that line was, or is it just me talking to you about that episode? How
I don't remember.
prophetic it was. And he
Mhm.
says to him, he goes, "We should use that. It's eerie, applicable to today and the succubus." When he goes,
Mhm.
"Officer Hardigan, love makes a man weak. I learned that early on, but you never learned it at all." And it's so perfect for what he's going through now.
Mhm. Well, maybe if you can isolate that line for me, I will put it at the end of an episode or the beginning of an episode.
Definitely.
That's easy.
Maybe this one. How about this one?
Mhm. That's fine.
I will cut it from season 4, episode 3, at the 38-minute mark.
Or I'll put it in right now when I edit
And then
this.
Penhall comes in from behind him and shoots him in the back. Spoilers. 32-year-old spoilers. He goes, "Does this guy sound like an old movie or what?"
Sorry, I'm writing down the time. Okay. No, I'm happy to put that in. He is a highlight of some of those putrid 21 Jump Street episodes. I'm going to get into what we're doing today.
I don't consider that episode putrid.
I know you don't. You don't consider it.
Do you?
It's not my favorite, but
I think they finally
it's not the
delved into
worst.
Hanson's background a little more. He's
Mhm.
an ex-girlfriend we don't know. But by the way, the sister of Melanie Griffith. I think her name's Tracy Griffith.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite. We've used a couple of lines already. I think in the Viper Room episode we did, we used a line.
Yeah, he's counting the money.
Yep.
Who counts the money underneath the bar? And he pulls out the lockbox with the cash under the table in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we're about to use some more Michael Day Bar. This is the Michael Day Bar episode, everybody. Just kidding. So, okay, let me explain first what we're doing today, and then let's get into what you are presenting today, as in like current Depp news.
It's kind of news, but it is.
Yeah, we are kicking off some trial stuff, but we're going to be focusing on the UK trial, of course, because the Virginia trial hasn't started yet. We're going to start today with the Depp's witness statement, which kicked off the entire process. And we want to read that, get that out of the way before we step into the UK testimony, because this is going to be referred to throughout the testimony. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Shut up. So, constantly mocking me. I'm looking at my avatar. It looks like B. Arthur. Since we're getting into like judicial stuff.
You mentioned you in the Golden. You mentioned Estelle Getty in the chat last night in
That's the greatest show
Radio
ever.
Gunk. I know. It is really good, actually.
I am going to be my Lady Justice throughout the UK trial coverage. It's so stupid. I'll probably change my mind halfway through this episode. But yeah, let's get this stuff started. So what are you bringing to us today?
Well, your Lady Justice is just you interrupting me to stop and ask questions. I mean, we're both going to do that. We're both going to analyze what the hell he just said. And
of course, we'll
probably
maybe stop after every couple paragraphs or every paragraph or whenever we want to.
Sounds like a fake, like an attempt to knock off Captain America. And you don't want to pay the rights, so you make up a female superhero and use Lady Justice.
I'm M. Lady Justice.
Like in the Tick universe. What was that character's name? American Maid. Great character in the Tick.
I'm also
phenomenal cartoon.
Making this about me again. I'm also looking at this avatar and thinking I have to effing keep dyeing my hair for the rest of my life because I do not want white hair. I'm so thrown off by this picture.
Every broad does it. What are you ashamed of? At least you admit it.
Oh yeah, God.
Unlike Howard Stern, who is Grandpa Saul, jet black hair at 70 years old, and only gets thicker and darker. I can't admit to it. As if anybody believes you, you lying huckster helmet. But you don't ever think that all broads don't do that.
I know. Oh, I'm not. I would never lie about it. I dye my hair. I
If
dye
you
it
were an
once a month.
actress, you have a real alibi. If you were an actress, you go, oh, it's for a role, it's for a movie, it's for, you can do whatever you want.
My
By the
only.
way,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say my only physical thing that I like about myself would be my hair. So I have to keep it dyed. If it's going to be like witch hair, I don't know what I would have to live for anymore.
We on the Deppening
Or petty.
or both. Well, we try to maintain the self-deprecating personas, both of us.
Deprecating, right?
Yep.
You should have already been there with that joke. Okay.
I'm sure I've said it a million times
I
already.
know you have. Okay. What do you got for us?
So this is. Oh, by the way, just before we get to that, so we both concede, and I hope this comes up. And I'm not rooting for it, other than I just have theories that we think Depp has a series of hair plugs, hair system. What's now Dana Carvey, who I just listened to on a podcast with Rob Lowe. They were talking about hair. They're talking about actors' hair, and David Spade, who has extensive hair plugs, as anybody knows. Dana Carvey had a term for it that Hollywood uses, which I'd never heard before, called grafting.
Okay. Grafting?
Hair grafting.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
This is apparently what these guys are using. So how Nicolas Cage has 10 times the hairline now he did when he was in 1990 when he first met Depp, or or in 1993 when he was a huge star. All these people, like nobody in that age group loses one hair. Like Christian Slater, Vince Vaughn, Matthew McConaughey, they all have like 10 times the hairline they did when they were all clearly balding.
Mm-hmm.
So we think Depp, we're not saying he's balding in the sense that it was obvious, but you could see complete shifts in his hairline.
Just a little filler.
Years. Oh, totally. You can't. He loves his hair. He tries to downplay his vanity. He has way more vanity than. It's a subtler vanity where he won't. When he did Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, he was terrified of shaving his head.
Mm-hmm.
He loves that hair. It is an accoutrement. He cannot leave the house without playing with it, I'm sure, for 2 hours. It is one of his trademarks. And how does he go from doing a movie where the character, like say Nick of Time or something, where the character is short hair, and then 2 weeks later his hair is shoulder length? Who do you in the world hair? He definitely has extensions in some. Whose hair grows that fast? 2 weeks later, his hair is shoulder length after it was like the way it looked in Nick of Time.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of somebody, and I'm drawing a blank. Anyway.
But when you're an actor, you can use it's for a role kind of thing. It's your job, essentially. You can't shame actors who really do that if they own it, because the job is an aesthetic. It's to look a certain way. You have to, if you're playing a character, you're going to be playing with your hair in different ways all the time. But you have a video where there's an inconsistency, like in the front, something looks plopped on and the back moves differently. Nobody's hair moves like that.
Mm-hmm.
No civilians.
Well, yeah, you have access to. I'm sure you make friends on sets, and you hire these people privately, and you have access to things that normal humans don't. I would probably do it too.
But what I think is going to happen is during the Virginia trial, I think you're going to hear the succubus dropping these vanity bombs on him, like
she's
hair plugs. Yes,
yeah, she's going
he had a private hairstylist named Coney Toburn that came in and always around, and he would disappear for 3 weeks to have the scalp heal and the whole thing. We might be hearing some vanity revelations.
Yeah, she is ripping the kitchen sink out and opening up the cupboards and throwing everything, because she likes to throw pots and pans. So she's going to throw the sink, throw the glass cleaner underneath the sink, everything. She has everything to lose, so she's going to make sure she doesn't.
I was telling you that during the I guess in between trials that I want to I'm very curious to see if she plays some vanity card, plastic surgeries, that whole thing.
Well, yeah, she wants to embarrass him.
Yes.
He is embarrassing her right now, so she will embarrass him.
It was like he was obsessed with looking young, and he has 3 hairstyle and this hair grafting specialist that comes in and plastic surgery. I'm telling you, it's coming. It's coming. I'll be shocked if it does. I could be wrong, but I'd be shocked if it doesn't.
No, I think you're absolutely right. We need to get ready for it. So,
like I said, and all his peers, Tom Cruise, like none of these guys age one day. They look, full heads of hair into their 60s. Nobody has one. Come on. Who do you know in your life that has this?
I
All
know.
in multiplicity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so look at fucking Steven Tyler and Joe Perry with their
I
stupid.
really
That's
don't
even
want
worse.
to.
And I'm just saying, like, look at that.
I know.
75,
It's
3
gross.
times the hairline they had when they were
Ugh.
17. All right, like they're not having hair plugs put in every 2 weeks.
No.
And extensions and the whole thing. So this is an article. I just want to kind of go into some relationship stuff with him, because I think sometimes it's not harped on like it should. Because what we're about to read, it's completely germane to that. So this is an article about Vanessa Paradis from the Mirror, written by Adam Levy. This is about a year ago.
Okay.
Which is a UK publication. But so it analyzes his and Vanessa's relationship, and it's kind of got a cynical point of view about, exactly when did you guys break up, and you can't tell me the succubus wasn't there the whole time. So they write, from the moment he locked eyes on Vanessa Paradis in the lobby of the Hotel Costas in Paris in 1998, Johnny Depp was hooked. She was wearing a dress with an exposed back, and I saw that back, and she had this neck, and then she turned around, and I saw those eyes, and boom, my life as a single man was done, says Depp, who once told the Daily Mail. By that point, Vanessa had already been in love with him for years. This doesn't come out a lot. Having fallen for his charms when they met at the LA nightclub in the Viper Room in 1993. See, why doesn't Depp say this? In all the times he tries to recount how they met, that never comes up. Why does he not bring up that they met the Viper Room? Is it possible that he was cheating on Kate Moss with her?
I don't know. I don't remember when he broke up with Kate Moss officially.
Officially, I want to say 97, because when they filmed Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, he had the affair with Ellen Barkin on that set.
Okay.
So right around Fear and Loathing, the filming of it. The thing is, I loved him before I was even with him, really. This is Vanessa. But we had met. She previously told the Times. I remember perfectly the first time. She shook my hand, and I thought, okay, that's it. He didn't only look good, everything about him was good. He was so sweet, so different. He just seemed like a really good person. I just knew, and there was no one better. The couple went on to have children. Lily Rose, 21. She's 22 now, I think. Jack, 19. Enjoyed a quiet single life. A quiet life living in a quiet village in the south of France. They somehow never married. Something Johnny joked about was down to him not wanting to spoil her surname. Yeah, right. Like your fucking first wife still using the name from 1985. And in 2011, rumblings of trouble in Paradis, they should have said, began to surface. How do they not pun that out? Sources claim Johnny had grown restless and wanted out of this, while others allege that Vanessa wanted to focus on kickstarting her own career after years of devoting herself to Johnny's career. Rumors started to swirl that the pair were even living separate lives, and had recently something Johnny had denied. You have no right to ask me how I feel. You have no right to speak to me so kind. But for now, we'll go on living separate lives.
I'm sorry, I'm swooning. Go ahead.
I couldn't help but Phil Collins. And speculation was rife about his his friendship, quote unquote, with actress Amber Heard at that very time. The pair met up on the set of 2011's Rum Diary, where Johnny played legendary gonzo journalist Hunter S. Thompson and Amber his love interest. In early 2012, he was spotted boarding a private jet to Las Vegas with Amber and her then girlfriend, Tasya Von Rhee. I hate saying that name. I hate saying that name. I hate saying all their names, all the pretentious, stupid girl squad names she has that seem made up for the Screen Actors Guild. They all seem they're all so pretentious, all the time. And just days after announcing the split from Vanessa, it was claimed Amber had become a regular visitor on the set of The Lone Ranger. Johnny would later admit Amber got into his head to People magazine, reporting that he told the audience at the 31st Santa Barbara International Film Festival, she was in my head, so I tracked her down. We kind of tracked each other down. Actually, incidentally, it was amazing. What does this track down constitute? I'm telling you, the pair went on to marry in 2015 before splitting in a blaze of acrimony the following year, with Johnny claiming in his recent libel against the case in The Sun that the breaking point had come when Amber or one of her friends defecated on their marital bed, something that he blames on her dog. That she blames on her dog. The actor 57 is. Do you do that with Camilla? You just blame her for every accident?
I can't get away with that because Camilla doesn't shit on the bed something the size of a pork chop. So, and it looks like a pork chop too. If you look at the picture,
I haven't had pork chops in years.
Yeah, you don't want this kind of pork
I'm not
chop.
craving them like I crave the double Whopper. I'm just saying I haven't had pork chops in years.
I'll mail you a pork chop sandwich one of these days.
That's a sandwich?
Yeah, you can make a pork chop sandwich. I'm from the South.
Only in Oregon.
Well, yeah, my father's from the South, I should say, but I got the blood.
Okay.
No, I would never blame my cat for that. That's disgusting. And if you want to analyze it, I could do myself an entire episode on analyzing that photograph.
Yeah, you love that.
Amber Heard. Yeah, I love poop jokes. Amber Heard.
Turd.
Amber Turd. I mean, suck you turd.
Is
she is a wine connoisseur just as much as her former husband is. So if you analyze and plug your ears right now. If you analyze what was left, it appears to be from a body that consumes a lot of red wine.
Wow.
That's all I'm going to say. I don't think the dog consumes a lot of red wine. And the dog is about the size of what was left in the bed. So you tell me. But can you imagine?
That's forensic skills that Ichabod Crane can't
I know.
boast.
Call me in. I'll put me on the pay scale there.
But go ahead.
Can you imagine the hatred you have for someone to stand up in your marital bed that he paid for, by the way, in a penthouse that he paid for, squat on your bed and take a shit?
It's because it's her 30th birthday.
I know. Well, some broads, ladies, it's all, you have your birthday, you have to celebrate for some reason for the entire month. And it's all about you.
Yep.
And you are the cream of the crop. And you deserve to take a shit in the bed that you share with your husband.
I don't care if he lost $600 million and his
mother died
on his deathbed. It's about my birthday. It's my birthday.
Yeah, he was 2 hours late for my birthday. Even though he had texted me saying he was going to be 2 hours late.
And he still shows up and still didn't have an attitude. Not one eye roll like Tom Hansen in season 4. Not one eye roll.
My God, what an evil witch. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
The actor is now suing the news group newspapers over a story published in The Sun in 2018, which branded him a, quote, wife beater, claim which he strenuously denies. He, just like I think it was Kevin Pollak in A Few Good Men, if you can't just deny it, you got to say strenuously deny it, because it isn't valid unless you say, or categorically deny, right? That's the new one now. I categorically deny. It is patently false.
Mm-hmm.
See, these are the new things. You have to say categorically and patently before everything, or we don't believe you.
Yeah, you can't just say, no, I didn't do that.
Yeah, no, it completely doesn't even do it. It's got to be categorically or patently.
Mm-hmm. The more words
everybody says it now.
The more words you pad around the no, the more the more you're lying, in my opinion. But go ahead. I apologize.
I deny that. We don't believe you. I categorically deny it. Okay, we believe you.
Yeah.
It's false. Oh, we don't believe you. All right, it's patently false. Okay, we believe you. That should be a podcast, and patently categorical or something like that. Patently. The libel trial kicked off at London's High Court earlier this week. Both Johnny and Amber in attendance there. He accused Amber of seducing him to advance her own fame. Right there and then, that points the finger that he cheated on Vanessa with her. In
Yeah.
a witness statement, he told how they first met at auditions and reconnected on the. Okay, here we go. In a witness statement, this is what I'm about to read, actually. In a witness statement, he told how they first met at auditions and how they reconnected on the promo trail for the film. He said she was then extremely friendly to me and keen to tell me all about the breakup with her former partner that she'd recently gone through. Yeah, I'll bet. If I had known then what I know now, I would have seen the red flag warning signs, but I did not. She was beautiful, seemingly incredibly interested in me and my work, and I fell for it. She bombed me with what appeared to be love.
Mm-hmm.
It was not until much later that I understood what she. Oh, this is. I love these quotes. I love this quote from him. I think it's so well stated how he frames this, and I don't know if it's in what we're about to read or it's in the actual. It's definitely in the court grilling.
I think I saw it when I skimmed through this.
I love this statement because this sums her up. I mean, it was not until much later that I understood she had an agenda, namely to get married to me in order to progress her own career and to benefit financially. And well, she knew how to bring it about. For example, at the time, she repeatedly told me how much she admired my films. However, later in our relationship, she admitted that she had never seen any of my films. Vanessa submitted a statement to the courts in support of her ex last week, describing him as a kind, attentive, generous, nonviolent person and father. On movie sets, the actors and directors and the entire crews adore him because he's humble and respectful to everybody, as well as being one of the best actors we've ever seen. Vanessa adds. Despite their sad split, the pair have worked hard to remain friends, and Johnny has even said to have joined Vanessa and her husband, Samuel. I hate this name. Again, these names, they only deal with pretentious names. I'm going to try to pronounce a stupid name with 5 consonants in the middle. Antetokounmpo, Samuel Benchitrit.
All right, you're good. I think you got it.
Last year. I don't even know. It's probably wrong. There's probably like 3 silent T's in there, and somehow C is an S.
You put more effort into it than most people would, so we're good.
In 2013, he said of their enduring friendship, "We're on great terms, and there's nothing or weird about it. It's very normal. She's a great mommy and a great woman. If you love and you've loved beyond what you think is love, when the shit hits the fan, you have to keep loving. I know it sounds like some kind of Hallmark card, and I don't mean it to, but you cannot abandon ship, you know? You got a couple kids and a woman who's been good to you, so keep loving no matter what, unless you're Ellen Barkin." I'm sorry. Okay, and so there's a lot there, and it actually completely ties in what we're about to read. And so this is, we know about the sublime Russian, Polina Glenn, who exiled herself back to Siberia because she couldn't handle the heat of this. And it is a lot of stuff, but she, again, nothing. What could these two possibly talk about? It's a Russian. He only dates. It's always. I mean, again, in a lot of ways, he is a cliche because it's always model. Is anybody not a model at some point?
No, I mean we talked about it too.
Winona Ryder's the only one that wasn't considered a model.
Yeah, but she could have.
And Sherilyn Fenn to some extent, but somehow I think she did some modeling. I
Technically, Winona is a model because she modeled.
When?
She modeled in like Rolling Stone. She had a whole layout.
Not. She was an actress first. She was a tomboy.
Yeah, but she did like fashion shoots.
No, but that's later. That was when she was every actress becomes a model after they're an established actress.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
No, I know.
She wasn't a model first. She was a teen actor and, Lucas and stuff. But she became model waifish looking after that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, they're a model first. Like, everyone he's met other than that is a model first.
Mm-hmm.
It says, so this is an article that says, meet Johnny Depp's new girlfriend, we think, model Sophie Herman. Whether you love him or hate him, Johnny Depp's influence in Hollywood cannot be overlooked. From Edward Scissorhands to Winona and Kate Moss over the years, Pirates Charlotte, blah, 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 blah. In recent years, however, Depp has been making headlines not for movies, instead of ongoing battle against ex-wife Amber Heard over allegations of domestic abuse, while Heard claiming the actor threw a phone at her and hitting her on the head. After a drawn-out divorce, blah, blah, blah. Okay, after a drawn-out divorce and more recent court battle with the Sun newspaper, Depp seems to be putting all that behind him, moving on with a new beau. Just recently, the actor was spotted with a new girlfriend, the German model, always model, Sophie Herman. I looked her age up. I don't know if it's listed here. She is actually somewhat age appropriate, but still ridiculously younger. She's 36. I think 35 or 36.
How bad is it that that's like more age appropriate for him than he's done in the last?
Oh, no. It's like
20
she's
years.
dating Ellen Barkin. Now he's dating Ellen Barkin. Like, she's so old because you're comparing it. That sublime Russian is 10 years younger than that.
Yeah.
Sophie has led a successful modeling and acting career. Oh, really? What has she acted in that? I love when they just say that without anything. And has even appeared in the reality TV show Made in Chelsea, which helped her amass over 207,000 Instagram followers. A quick look at her gram, and it's easy to see that Sophie is quite the style and following, too, with a wardrobe full of luxury fashion staples. Sophie's personal style is even compared to other models. Sophie maintains her svelte. Okay, I need something more on them. Because, this is not what I looked at before. She's apparently not. Who cares? All right, she is like an heir to a German fortune at the same time, and I'm trying to figure out where I had it, where they met. Come
on
on,
the scene.
come on. It kind of is. It's kind of like on the scene. Okay, this is a better written thing.
Okay.
Sophie Herman was born in Munich, Germany, spent her formative years in Switzerland, and went on to start a life for herself in London. She has quite the prestigious family background and is the heir to the Mustang jeans. Come on, stop jumping around. Mustang jeans fortune. Her grandfather is the label's founder, Louise Herman, and it seems that she followed in his footsteps when planning a career. What a tough life. What a charm.
Yeah.
Was there any failing in a life like that? Is there any way you could screw that up? It's just like everything. It's like
everything aligned. Everything aligned at birth. She's fine.
I want to see her work a shift at Walmart for a month.
Yeah.
After studying fashion in Milan, she made her debut on the show Made in Chelsea in 2013. Throughout the years, she has left and returned to the show while also working in various projects of her own. After modeling, she went on to start her own fashion label, simply titled Sophie Herman.
Oh, goody.
It's going to be Sophie Depp. As soon as that starts to tank and the sales go down, guarantee she's going to pull a Lori Allison. Reports began circulating in September of 2020 that Sophie Herman and Johnny Depp were linked. After a chance encounter at London's Corinthia Hotel, the pair, Depp loves hotels. He loves these weird, high-end, the Mark. He knows every effing hotel. With Thompson, too, like when he followed Thompson. He loves pretentious hotels. The pair reportedly had a connection, and Herman slipped her phone number between the strings of his guitar. As per the Daily Star, Depp appears to have put that phone number to good use, with outlets reporting that the two had numerous phone calls back and forth with each other. They really have not been photographed together or discussed their connection with one another since then, but that did not stop the rumor from churning and churning and churning. While she hasn't spoken about Depp in particular, Herman has been open about looking for love and her desire to have children. Speaking with MIC, she shared that she considered freezing her eggs until she could not find the right person. I want to settle down and have a family this whole year. It's not happening. This is not making anything easier on top of that. Oh, poor baby. One little hiccup and you're perfect.
In the life, yeah.
Yeah. I never thought I'd be the type of person who would consider that, but I actually thought about freezing my eggs. The years falling under the pandemic have surely not done anyone any favors. I bet you came out of it okay. I'm guessing you came out of it unscathed, Sophie. I'm guessing you're still fine.
Yeah, and she had to worry
you
about.
didn't need the stimulus.
Yeah, she had to worry about the office-wide mandate for the vaccine, and just trying to pay that electric bill every month. Poor thing.
When it comes to dating, but it sounds like Depp and Herman may have made things work despite all that. And after all, everyone deserves to find love.
Bravo.
So we'll see where this goes.
Bravo,
I'm
what a
sure
brave
if
girl.
there is any, I know. If there is anything there, he is keeping that under wraps. He's got to be shielding that from the best of his ability. He's very good at the obfuscation, subterfuge, stealth mode. When he goes into Depp stealth mode, he certainly has enough resonances to pull it off. I mean, if anybody can not have you see him, it's him. Even though people are trying to get multiple shots at all the time, I still think his multiple residence and security can stave all that off. I'd like, I guess this is a different day. It's a different topic. It's different, but I'd like to know where he is financially right now, because I still can't figure it out.
Well, we have an episode coming up that is going to go into his finances when we dive back into Tracy Jacobs.
Yeah.
So we'll go over that. We'll get a pretty good idea.
He, right now?
Yeah, but we'll get a pretty good idea on what's going on. I don't know what he's getting from this NFT deal, for example.
That's what I was going to say. That's not a good sign. That it's
going to be probably years before we find that out. So
if he indeed lost $600 million, as he confirms, as many sources have confirmed, and he won the suit with his managers,
he's not going to get anything
exactly
from that.
Did he recoup back from them? Right.
He's not getting. You think they wrote him a check for $600 million?
No, of course, no. I mean, I don't know what's the maximum they can even.
They don't have to do anything.
They don't have to do anything.
They just have a judgment against them. Doesn't mean they're going to even give him $1.
No, I'm sorry. You know what? I think in the documents we have in the financials, it does say what they gave. Didn't I say to you? It was like 12 million, or it was like it was a weird byline with a strange 8-figure thing, and I deduced that it was what they gave him.
So it was a fraction.
It wasn't
of what?
close to 600. It's a complete fraction, right?
Well, hope he's making that last, because it's going to have to. All right, so what we're going to do in this episode, we are going to, this is like the pregame for the UK testimony that we promised, uncensored, by the way. So we're going to go over Mr. John Christopher Depp II's statement of truth or witness statement, however you want to call that. Well, we should say
you say uncensored because you're comparing it to other
shows,
podcasts that have latched on to this for clickbait. The salacious scandal of it all. It kind of like fake Johnny come lately, pun intended, Depp fans that are trying to attach themselves to this, or they pretend they care about justice, or people who are the cancel culture or whatever obsessed with, which tend to leave out any of the stuff that makes him look remotely bad. Any of the pushback from the son's lawyers. So we're not censoring that. In fact, I think it's more interesting than the stuff that makes him look good.
Yeah.
Which we're all aware of in multiplicity. So we're not, what you mean by uncensored is we're showing the pushback from the succubus's side. The entire thing. We're not editing one thing out.
Exactly. And I don't think it's fair to do so. So what we are going to, let's just start from page 1, I guess. This is the UK trial statement. The High Court, as you can see at the top, in the High Court of Justice, the Queen's Bench Division. I don't know what any of that means, but let me see, just skimming. This was on December 12th, 2019, in which he gave the statement. A lot of it is in, some of it's legal jargon, which you can kind of tell the lawyer wrote and he signed his name. Most of it, though, could be from him directly. I don't
Yeah.
know. But we're going to read it as
It's
if
presented
it is,
like it is. It's
yeah,
presented like it's him saying everything.
yeah. So do you want to go ahead and start?
And this is a way to, again, I remain pissed off we never got to see this trial fully televised. So it's
Yeah.
almost our attempt to bring it to life
I
in a
think this
way.
will be
And this is
highly
just,
entertaining.
I don't hype it too much. It's just
I
him
am going to love this. So
reading a statement. So again, it's Depp versus the Sun. It's not technically versus the succubus, the
exactly.
suncubus. And Dan Wooten, who is the CEO owner of the British newspaper, which is Nova.
Yes.
I just want to say one thing up front. So we got a comment in one of our comments talking about Dan Wooten and the Sun and Rupert Murdoch and the connections to that whole thing. Here's the irony, and I cannot slam this home enough. Depp is a major reason there even is a Fox. Like Rupert Murdoch's own the Fox Network and blah blah blah. And all this is spawned from Johnny Depp started the Fox Network with 21 Jump Street in April of 1987. He is the leadoff hitter. There is no Fox News and any of these neocon right-wing bullshit. There is none of the Fox NFL, Fox Sports. He started all of it. It was legitimized with them as a top. He legitimized it as a top 20 hit to put it on the map, to make it, and Stephen Cannell and Patrick Hasberg and the whole thing. Christina Applegate and Married with Children. We've set it up. But there is none of it's the irony, right? And you can almost go, you would have no newspaper if it wasn't for me starting the Fox Network. You'd have no Fox News. Remember when Fox News went after him with O'Reilly and stuff, and he's anti-American, and he turned out to be completely right in what he said. By the way, that you didn't see the mission of apologies. No, of course not. But they're right. The irony is he essentially started. There's no Rupert Murdoch without Johnny Depp.
You're right.
You think I'm exaggerating?
No.
I don't think so.
If you're old enough to have been, to know what was happening in 1987, everybody who was old enough knows you're exactly right. They remember that time.
They dare to have a fourth network, fourth rabbit ears network in that time when CBS, ABC, and NBC dominated everything. Well, no, we're going to have a fourth. We're going to appeal to a younger crowd, maybe a more ethnic crowd, and we're going to do things completely different and see what happens. It could have easily failed miserably, but he legitimized it by giving it their first show in top 20 ratings.
We have a promo on our channel. Johnny Depp turns the lights on.
Yes.
Please watch that.
Direct people to that.
There is a reason why he is the first face you see on one of the first ever Fox promos ever made.
And the lights get turned on. Literally, that's what they do in the damn thing.
They sold the Fox channel in Tiger Beat magazine, and it wasn't Al Bundy that sold and set up Fox. It was the entire
Depp,
channel.
And then, in all fairness, the homecoming queen, Christina Applegate, was the other side of it.
Yeah, well, they had to pander to the men too. So, but the women, the teenage girls, are what started Fox.
Way more so than she did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to underestimate Ms. Applegate, who actually appears in a 21 Jump Street episode in season 2.
And we have that also on one of our episodes. Anyway.
Okay, so this is the second. So this starts off, and it gives him the whole thing. I this gives me the chills just seeing that he has to do this. I, John Christopher Depp, the second of, I don't know, let's make up an address. 1433 Sweetser Avenue, LA, 90069, area code USA. Will say as follows. I am the claimant in these proceedings, unless stated otherwise. The facts and matters referred to in this witness statement are within my own knowledge, true to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief based on sources stated within the witness statement. There is now produced to me and my marked exhibit JD2, paginated
Ooh.
bundle of true copy documents referred to in this witness statement. References to page numbers are references to exhibit JD2 unless otherwise stated. I make this witness statement in support of my claim in these proceedings. And it says A, introduction. So you're on 5, right?
Yes.
Let me just enlarge
Okay.
my Matt Murdock eyes. Or I should say Agent Sands as well. Depp himself has really bad vision.
You're linked.
Come on. Okay. These proceedings relate to an article published by the defendants, which appeared online on 20th April 2018, the 27th of April in the hard copy, 28th of April 2018, together as set out in the particulars of claim dated June 13th, 2018, in paragraph 10. The article included words which I contend meant were understood to mean that I was guilty. An overwhelming of evidence of serious domestic violence against my wife, Ms. Amber Heard, causes significant injury and leading to her fearing for her life. The article further suggested that I was constrained to pay no less than $5 million to compensate Ms. Heard for my alleged behavior. That my actions resulted in me being subjected to continuing court restraining order, and for that it was. By the way, I should say $5 million in UK translation.
Pounds.
Pounds, £5 million. So this is how he. I don't know if they made him write it that way.
Probably because that's where he's bringing the suit.
That's right. So it would be, I guess, their currency.
Yeah.
That my actions resulted in me being subjected to a continuing court restraining order, and for that reason, I'm not fit to work in the film industry. The article said that J.K. Rowling should not continue to cast me in Fantastic Beasts series, referring to me as a, quote, wife beater in the online version. In these proceedings, the defendant rely on various allegations made by Ms. Heard, the vast majority of which have only been made by subsequent the defendant's publishing authorizing the article. I've consistently denied Ms. Heard's allegations of domestic abuse since she first made them in May 2016 when she applied to the California court for a temporary restraining order. I note at the time that she made the TRO application and only specific, particularized allegations of abuse referred to by Ms. Heard were alleged to have occurred on the 21st of April 2016 and May of 2016. These were accusations in which the defendants had initially relied for the article. The article relates to my casting Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, in which was cast around November of 2016 as a related franchise to the Harry Potter films and as authored by Ms. Rowling. Fantastic Beasts is one of the biggest global film franchises to be involved in, and I played Grindelwald, the character named in that actual title. It was extremely important project for me to be involved in as Miss Heard first made her false allegations. Those allegations have been a constant issue in my casting in other films now. Interesting, right? I mean, so
Mhm.
he's. You see, I'd love to know, and we get this in the Jacobs deposition. What has he been turned down in? Will we ever know
I don't know.
exactly what has come down, or was he attempted to get, and they said, "Nah, no, thanks, Johnny. We don't want. You're too quote radioactive." Now.
Well, I have a feeling they're going to be listed in the next few months in a Virginia court. There will be an extensive list.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I can't wait to see if that's revealed.
It should be. I mean, that's
What
part
he
of it.
did not get. He has to. Don't you have to say it?
It's part
What
of your
did
damages.
you not get? Why are you being denied? These are your damages. What
Yeah.
did you not get?
I just wish he would have gone for a higher number than 50 million.
Whatever breaks her, you know, whatever
That's the
breaks
problem, though. She's backed. She's got 10 times that amount of money ready to be paid for her. So I just wish he would have gone for like $500 million and just crippled her.
I hope. I don't know. Is a part of it that they have to prove that Elon Musk isn't, because he's being subpoenaed.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to be looking to distance himself from this in every way, shape, and form. And I wouldn't. I mean, all these, the 1% have all these hocus pocus money moves they make. That
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't know he's doing it, but he's some way to, I don't know, some strange financial nest egg they have overseas, or you can't see it, or
Yeah,
tax
you stow your
shelters or
money
whatever.
away. Yeah,
Yeah,
just for
I don't know.
lawsuits. Yeah,
I would almost think he'd want to avoid this entirely,
he
but they
should.
can't. Depp's people insist they produce a money trail as to how
I
he's
think
involved in it.
I think he's stuck in that fog. Um, I think he's borderline still obsessed with this thing, and I don't know. It's something that Mr. John Christopher Depp II should understand.
I hope they use pussy fog in the lawyers use pussy fog in Virginia.
Ugh. Okay.
Elon pussy fog for
Ugh.
so I'm on 10,
Yes.
paragraph 10, I guess to
Background.
consider. For the avoidance of any doubt, I have never abused Miss Heard or indeed any other woman in my life. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
I'm from a Southern family, and rules were instilled in me from my birth, from my mother. You will be a Southern gentleman, or to be beaten into you. I don't understand. It's kind of like a walking contradiction because his mother is a bitch on wheels,
Mm-hmm.
but she's insisting he be a Southern gentleman. I don't understand how that's the same person.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever. Let's again. I mean, you'll stop me whenever you feel like you want to,
Yeah, go ahead.
or would be beaten into. So now he's inducing the mom abuse, which even as a child, chivalry was extremely important. And whether or not this is considered old fashioned, something I consider very important. Integrity, dignity, honesty, and respect for women. These are characteristics of a gentleman and characteristics that I always expected to have. As part of this, I feel it is strong and essential part of my moral code that I would never strike a woman under any circumstances. At any time, I find it simply inconceivable, and it would just never happen. By the way, we should say, and the key phrase here is, and Ms. Wass throws it in his face like 100 times. Southern gentleman. Everything is
Mm-hmm.
like
Would a Southern gentleman
with a
use
Southern
this?
gentleman, right? Use
Would
Flappy
they
Fish
use
Market,
this?
right?
Yeah,
Right, right,
exactly.
right.
So take note of that.
I'm sure he very much regrets saying that in that paragraph
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to be used against him again
Mm-hmm.
in Virginia. This was strengthened by the circumstances of my upbringing. I saw the abuse of women firsthand. What is there? Just like a, I guess it's just his mom, or is it just a string he just runs around looking
It's
for women?
coming up here in 2 sentences.
I've heard in horror about my mother have been beaten by her first husband. And I lived through my sister being beaten by 2 of her husbands. Geez, what the hell's going on?
I don't
I
know.
myself was regularly beaten for the most my minor and the most trivial things. Exposure to abuse was something that was very much a part of my childhood, and I feel that it has an enormous effect on my life. I've always vowed that the upbringing of my own children would be precisely the opposite of the upbringing that I experienced. There'd be no abuse, no violence, just statutory rape. I had been through that. Just my 14-year-old living with a 23-year-old. I had been through that with my children, and so they would not. I've had a number of very important romantic relationships before I spent 14 years with my long-term partner, Vanessa Paradis. All relationships have their ups and downs, but there was never any violence or physical abuse in any of these relationships. I have 2 wonderful children from my relationship with Miss Paradis, and I'm enormously proud of them and upbringing that we gave them. What we could never have happened in any abusive relationship, and no one could ever say that I had been abusive. My children really grounded my life and gave me an enormous sense of purpose and love, and confirmed once again no relationship or upbringing should ever be like my own parents' relationship and my upbringing. But that's like tough, you know, like do you just kind of, and he had always taken the high road, no
Mm-hmm.
pun intended, with his parents in all the press I've read through the years. And just recently, the first time it was real, I give Howard Stern a ton of credit in that 2001, our very first episode we did, official one, after the two test ones. It was the first time I'd ever heard any notion of abuse from his parents in that
Mm-hmm.
interview, all the way back in 2001. Never came up again. Years ticked by, and then all of a sudden he used it. It started to come out that she was a, quote, bitch on wheels.
Yeah, and we're probably going to find out a lot more coming up, too, about, more specific instances of the abuse from his mother.
He says to Howard, he goes, yeah, they were pretty abusive every now and then, yeah. Because he goes, were your parents mean to you? And he's like, yeah, they were pretty abusive every now and again. And that was pretty strong at the time. Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it was early in the morning, and I had the thing on, and I'm just like, well, that was like the thing. I was like, what the hell is that about? It really never came out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time that was ever uttered. So now C. This is the.
Yeah. Do you want me to read the titles? Give you a slight rest? Okay. C.
Sure.
My relationship with Ms. Heard.
All right, I'm rested. Thanks.
Whatever I can
I'm good. That's load management. I first met Miss Heard when she was auditioning for the film I was acting and producing, The Rum Diary, which was based on my dear friend Hunter S. Thompson's book of the same name. It was obvious to me that Hunter's dream of character had come alive, and Miss Heard, I hate him saying it, and Miss Heard subsequently acted in that film. There's no relationship between us at the time or at that point. She was married to her former partner.
Okay, pause.
You believe that?
Nope. Because she is,
confirmed.
If she's known for anything, it's for being loyal and monogamous in her relationships.
Yeah, right. You're contradicting yourself by saying that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way they didn't have a correspondence going the whole time. I mean, we have clips of her on the Rum Diary came out in 2011. Public Enemies came out in 2009. She's at the Public Enemies premiere. My theory is they had pre-production going on all the way back. I think it took a lot to get that movie off the ground. It's his first major thing his production company, Infinitum Nile, did. And I think they were doing pre-production for a few years before the thing even started shooting, obviously, and she was in on that, the auditioning. I think that I don't have any doubts.
Absolutely not.
And that's when texting first started to really become mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where everybody had unlimited texting.
Yeah. Well, she probably wanted to show up.
T-Mobile, right? Is that the year that it all exploded?
Yeah, absolutely. But she was probably, and just with that Tonto Man picture, that's down the road. But knowing how she would operate with the seduction, the long seduction,
the long-term con.
Yeah. She would show up probably to places she knew he would be just to, catch his eye across the room. And
when you see her gallop, we got to put that in here. When you see her galloping into the Public Enemies premiere, it looks like she's just darting eyes, looking for, how do I get seen? How do I get? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he?
Yeah.
Me. Look at me.
Oh, I was looking at how her facial expressions when she's getting her picture taken, just nauseating.
And she looks exactly like Chenault at the premiere. You think that's
over tanned and extremely blonde.
Yep. You think that's a coincidence?
No, not at all.
Once we had finished the filming, this is where he's lying. I do not believe saw Miss Heard for a couple of years until we started doing press release for the film. She was then extremely friendly to me and keen to tell me about the breakup with her former partner she had recently gone through. Now, if I had known then what I knew now, I would have seen the red flag warning signs, but I did not. She was beautiful, seemingly incredibly interested in me and my work, and I fell for it. She bombed me with what appeared to be love, and it was not until much later that I understood she had an agenda, namely to get married to me in order to progress her own career and to benefit financially. She knew how to bring it about too. For example, at the time, she repeatedly told me how much she admired my films. However, later in our relationship, she kind of admitted she'd never seen any of my films. She knew, she knew what she wanted, and I, and I was an easy target. And it was a few months after the start of our relationship that I started to recognize all these lies. As early as a couple of months, the slivers of fraudulence. Oh, I like how he puts that. Depp
Hmm.
is, but can I say, Depp is a great writer. If you ever see him, he's really taken on the Thompson in him is strong. He's a really excellent. Like I'd rather he be a scribe than a NFT artist. Even though I don't,
Hmm.
you know,
I feel
he's an excellent writer when he in
as
terms
you're
of like
yeah as you're
manifestos.
as you're reading this, I feel like I'm reading that autobiography that was spotted on the computer by that GQ reporter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what it's going to look like. I think this is like
Oh, I can't wait.
I think this is a morsel, a slight snapshot of how that biography will look if it ever. Hopefully, please release that soon. I want to see that so bad.
I think he's got a lot. Can you imagine though how many chapters of his life, how many different phases of his life would fit in a book? How many pages do you think that would be? 1,500? And I'd read every single one of them.
I don't think one book's going to do it. Yeah, I think it would have to be like 1,000 something pages.
Hmm.
He's had like there's never not a time where it's not completely. I want to hear the details of 21 Jump Street.
Oh my
I want
God.
more
I
than what
wasn't
we
even
know. I
thinking
want
about
more.
that. Yeah.
I want the childhood. I want the in
Ugh.
between stages when he gets to LA, before Jump Street and the little roles like Hotel and Lady Blue and Slower. By the way, I want to thank MVDV has like when she first she has a YouTube channel. She has effing slow burn on her YouTube page. She doesn't have a ton of stuff, but she has the full movie. It was a Showtime movie in 1986. I was telling you about where he
Hmm.
plays the son to Beverly D'Angelo, and he actually breaks out the first Air Jordans in the thing.
Hmm.
When they first came out, everybody was like, "Oh my God, these are so expensive!" And so
Yeah.
he's his Beverly D'Angelo buys him Air Jordans. It's like the best scene in the whole movie,
Hmm.
and he's strutting around with Air Jordans like outside. I guess like on the street, like outside the school. I think when his mom picks him up. I'm trying to remember how it goes, but anyway, she has the whole film. Uh, I'm not sure it's worthy of. Yeah, I guess it is. He's in the movie for like 15 minutes, maybe.
You just do his parts if we do
Yeah,
a
just
rewatch.
just his parts. But she has the whole thing, and I downloaded it
Okay.
because it's a really good copy of it. It's like a perfect. I think it's either 480 or 720 or something.
All right.
It's like the only thing. I don't know why she has it or how, because it's not really like
Send
one of those things.
send that to me and I will watch it maybe tonight.
Okay, and Eric Roberts is in it.
Oh, well, there
Emily
you go.
Longstreth. Emily Long. She was like one of those like blonde actresses that like in every teen movie at
Hmm.
the time. Uh, what is his name in that again? Oh my God, it's got a Jewish tinge. I'm not saying he's not playing a Jewish per se, but I remember the last name had like a. It sounded. I can't remember right now.
Okay.
It's been so long since I've seen the whole thing.
Hmm.
Anyway, so that period, in between Jump Street and when he gets to LA, or when he first gets to LA and there's nothing going. How long, he gets the Nightmare on Elm Street role like in 2 months after they arrive, and like the number one horror movie of all time, you get to play the boyfriend in it. That's pretty good.
Hmm.
So that type of stuff, like the real details of it, not stuff we already know. And there's certainly all the stuff in Miramar and Owensboro. I want to know more about his childhood. I think we're not getting it all.
Yeah, if he's honest, it's got to be like a 3-part autobiography.
Well, I thought the stuff with him wailing a baseball bat against a palm tree.
Hmm.
if it's anything like that, good Lord, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
an
I can't
amazing
wait.
read.
I hope it's soon.
Okay, so I'll just back it up a little bit. As early as a couple of months in our relationship, the slivers of fraudulence, the excuses for things, and unexplained absence, and the unexplained absences started. I justified these things to myself at the time, and I passed them off, but the signs were always there. She had well and truly researched me and my interests. This is where it gets really good. I love this. This is everything we suspected.
Mm-hmm.
Even while they were married, I knew that. I knew it. I knew it. He's just laying it out perfectly here. She had well and truly researched me and my interests. She would try to pose as some sort of expert or intellectual on these things and try to ingratiate herself with me. She presented herself as a carbon copy of me with precisely the same interests, thoughts, favorite writers, taste in music, and art as me. God damn it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
everything. It's eerie reading this to me right now. I'm having a hard time
Mm-hmm.
getting through it. Because it's every prediction. I'm patting myself in the back. I don't care. I knew it, and all the Depp heads on like the Johnny Depp zone and stuff. That was what they were, because she was trying to look like him, and
They
even the
you watch
visuals.
Yeah, you watch them just walking down the street. Um, they're twins. Like, and she comes to the set. I know there's
Bohemian.
there's footage of her on the set of Black Mass, and she's completely decked out as the female Johnny Depp.
Well, it looks like Deppemian blackface, as you said, or Deppemian cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
You could just smell. Who didn't see right through that?
Exactly. Him,
Yeah, him, right.
the
He
important
does
one.
not. So, but somehow he has it all laid up here. He knew it. He just didn't want to. The pussy fog stopped him from
Yeah.
calling her on it.
Mm-hmm.
He knew. How do you say all that and not know it in the moment?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Try to pose yourself as some sort of. I love how he said some expert or intellectual on these things to try to ingratiate herself with me. She presented herself as a carbon copy of me. By the way, which is exactly how she got the Rum Diary. It's not an audition. It's doing that shit. This is how you get the Rum Diary. It's
That's
not
exactly.
acting. It's not anything else. It's this. With precisely the same interests, thoughts, favorite writers, taste in music, and art as me. Rather than see this as calculated, um, sociopathic, and emotionally dishonest, I convinced myself that it was endearing and sweet. Yeah, he's kind of explaining it,
Mm-hmm.
which is self-deprecating to say
Mm-hmm.
that. Fundamentally, the signs that Miss Heard began to demonstrate then became the full and developed aspects of her character that I became to know during the incredibly unhappy time when we were together. She is calculating, diagnosed borderline personality. Wow, I didn't even see that. I was right, my diagnosis.
Yep.
She is calculating, diagnosed borderline personality disorder. She is sociopathic. She is a narcissist, and she is completely emotionally dishonest. Wow, so strong. Well said. Bravo, John Christopher Depp II. Perfectly stated. Everything without even seeing that, you can diagnose her. I am now convinced that she came into my life to take from me anything worth taking. God damn, this is making me kind of choked up a little bit here.
It's sad.
It is. Came into my life to take from me anything worth taking. Now, he's got to get through it in court, too, and
Mm-hmm.
then destroy what remained of it. Indeed, later in our relationship, when we sought the help of marriage counselor confirmed to me that Ms. Heard had a borderline toxic narcissistic personality disorder and is indeed a sociopath. It was further explained to me that Ms. Heard's projection of emotions is extremely exaggerated, and she'll always overreact and simply cannot be wrong in any circumstance. She invariably accuses other people of bad things she has done herself. The same had been said to me by my private doctor, Dr. Kipper, David Kipper. From early on in our relationship and throughout the course of it, Miss Heard was abusive to me physically and verbally. And the abuse was such a common occurrence that it's difficult for me to specify when and where which abuse took place. It was essentially always ongoing. When being abused by Miss Heard, my normal reaction was to try not to engage with her and to remove myself from the situation. Because of that, she'd often call me a coward and tell me that I'm not a man. However, I learned very early on in our relationship that Miss Heard was extremely argumentative and would often look to have a fight for no particular reason. I also learned that it was pointless to try to engage with Miss Heard when she was in such a mood. It would simply aggravate her even more. Therefore, it was better to try and wait for her mood to subside and then subsequently try to placate her and smooth things over. Now, while I've had disagreements with people in my life, nothing has upset me as much as Miss Heard's words and behavior towards me. She really knew how to hurt me and really sought to do that at any opportunity that she could get. In particular, given my own childhood, I've always been particularly sensitive about my own children and their feelings. Ms. Heard knew this and regularly sought to manipulate me emotionally in this regard. She told me on multiple occasions what a horrible father I was. For example, I remember I remember her telling me this during the filming of Mordecai in London in January of 2015 when my children were just in the room next door. I found it devastating and heartbreaking to hear this, but she knew exactly the effect her words would have. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think. So Lily's like 22 right now. It says 7 years.
7 years ago.
She's 15.
Uh-oh. Maybe that's.
On to. I know
Do
where
you
you're
think?
going with this,
Do
right?
you think she said horrible father because of what was happening?
Yeah. Statutory rape. You know that's going to be. Here it comes. I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, she's going to connect the dots.
Kitchen
I
sink.
called
Yep.
him a horrible father because her daughter was living with a 24-year-old in the
Yep.
same compound.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And B, she continuously belittled me and called me names, including in front of and to other people. On various occasions, she would snap at me and just call me, quote, a fat old man. She even told my former head of security, who is sadly no longer with us, Mr. Jerry Judge, that I was a, quote, fat old man, and she did not know why she married me. When I confronted her about this, she denied she ever said it. This was often her recourse when confronted with her lies. She'd simply try and play innocent and accuse others of lying about what she just said or did. To Amber, other people were always the liars. C, as I explained at paragraphs below, although I was in recovery from drug addiction during significant parts of my marriage to Amber. Instead of supporting my sobriety, she often encouraged me to drink alcohol and to take drugs. Yeah, I do the same thing. Not the drugs, but I definitely do. You don't need.
You can't stop. You are a drinking coach, so
I'm a
you make
drinking coach.
$3,000 a
It's
minute.
She often encouraged me to drink alcohol and take drugs, even though she knew that my relationship with alcohol and drugs was a difficult one for me. D. She lied to me so often about both banal and important things. She lied about people I know not remembering me in order to hurt me. She lied about what she said about me, and she lied to my family about my actions. You know, also too, we brought up the before we went on here, we brought up the Hicksville
Mm-hmm.
um, camping trip they went on. It was like it
Yeah.
was a slash concert. It was like a retreat in Hicksville for his birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole trip consists of her friends,
Exactly.
none of his. So he's constantly around her friend, and all these people are 20, 25 years younger than he is, and they're in that party mode, and he's trying to. He's had his day. Boy, has he had his day. And how do you avoid the trappings of drugs and alcohol when you're around this ne'er-do-well 20-something sect on your dime
You don't.
who have nothing to do all the time.
Yeah. The B-side to that
Endless
too
money and
is,
free time.
yeah, well, they're using him for his money. He's got to know that at the time. If he doesn't, he's in heavy denial.
This walking Coachella band of
Yeah,
fake hipster posers.
high on mushrooms constantly,
Yep.
smoking pot. Anyway, but behind the scenes, they're plotting this with her.
Yes.
It's just a bunch of just total assholes. That's got to weigh on him too, after all of this is said
Yep.
and done.
She lied to me so often about okay, no, I'm sorry. So down
Sad
to
irony.
19.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the sad irony of her abuse hoaxes is that they mirror what she actually subjected me to during the course of our relationship. I took the years of verbal and physical abuse, only told these closest to me about it. The reward for my silence is that she is now fabricated that she was the one that was abused. D. Okay, yeah, you're right then.
Oh, D. My drug taking. Yeah, my drug taking and drinking.
Nice job, Sarah. Take a rest.
I know.
Take a break.
Okay.
I understand. 20. I understand from my solicitors that the defendants have made a number of allegations in relation to my drug taking and drinking. He knows it's coming. You know, here he goes like, oh, yeah. It has been well reported that I have been open about my challenges with alcoholism and addiction throughout my life. In fact, I started drinking and taking drugs when I was still a child. I'm not in any way embarrassed to say this. You're very proud of it, I think. I think you like it.
Yeah.
I think
Rock
you
and roll.
love being compared to Thompson and Keith Richards and Allen Ginsberg and William Burroughs and Steven Tyler and Joe Perry and Alice Cooper. I'm not in any way embarrassed to say this. However, the way in which the defendants have sought to portray this problem is not a fair or accurate reflection of the reality of addiction. This is particularly so when Miss Heard was a regular, heavy drug user throughout our relationship and often drank far more alcohol than I did. I believe that.
I do
He certainly
too.
has the free time. He's filming one thing after the next on location. Really, you know, to film, he's in heavy costume and character. You can't be. I believe she's. And we talk about this all the time. He's going away for 4 months, and her friends do nothing but party the F out on his dime in his penthouses. I believe every word of that.
Have you seen the GQ interview she did that they scrubbed?
Yeah, you sent it to me. It was
Yeah.
we can maybe get that next time. It's a
Yeah, I'll
is
put
it
it
a
in
full
next
Q&A?
I don't know how long it is. I only saw like a blurb from it, but she is
It's
drunk off
to
her ass.
promote Pineapple Express,
Yeah, I think so.
and they're trying to tout her as a new, you know, up and coming starlet, harlot. I mean,
Yep.
21. My addiction over the years has been roxycodone pills, which are all, now we're going to learn a lot about drugs here. Like, this is stuff I've never even like. It is just one drug nomenclature vernacular after the next. So much of this I've never even seen written before. So this is an education for me. Roxy codeine pills. Welcome home, Roxy Codeine.
Oh, God.
Winona Ryder. that was the movie she did, right? Well, Roxy Carmichael.
Yeah. I've seen that movie at least 25 times. Yeah.
Welcome home, Roxy Codeine. Which are often referred to as Roxy's, and which is one of the brand names for oxycodone, which is an opiate prescription. Is that hillbilly heroin?
The Oxy family is, it's usually just considered hillbilly heroin.
Rush Limbaugh, yeah, which is an opiate prescription painkiller. You can develop an addiction to Roxy's incredibly quickly, i.e., in a matter of days. And once addicted, they're incredibly hard. He knows so much about drugs. He literally is like a pharmacist. Like,
Why do you think he needed those? Why do you think he got the original prescription?
I think because Thompson probably took him at one point.
Yeah, but what do you think he said to get that? He had a Dr. Feelgood,
Told that
so who?
they'll do they'll do anything. They'll write him any. How do you
Yeah,
think we talked about this on? I
I
crowbarred this
know.
onto Gunk last night. His
I'm trying.
he couldn't have been insured for. He has to drug test for these films. That's what Dr. Kipper is for, to write him these,
Yeah,
full bill
I
of
mean,
health.
I've taken this stuff like one time in my life. I don't even remember why, but I got to remember they're not like me. Like these people are not us. Like they can just say, "Yeah, I want these." I have to go to the doctor with a actual complaint about something or have a procedure done to get this stuff. They don't need that. So I got to remember that.
Yep,
Sorry, continue.
that's right. No, good thoughts. You can develop an addiction to Roxy's incredibly quickly, i.e., in a matter of days. And once addicted, they're incredibly hard to kick. This is a drug to which I have been addicted. And Miss Heard's attempt to portray me as a general drug addict is so far from accurate. And she knows that. When you try to come off Roxy's, it's an extremely painful process and has to be done with medical assistance. I can only describe the feeling of withdrawal as like having millions of boiling marbles under your skin. The pain is excruciating. And I was on them for a number of years prior to meeting Miss Heard. But I was not on them in the period after the Rum Diary when I started my relationship with Miss Heard. I've taken other drugs in my life, and I did take other drugs during the course of our relationship, but I never suffered with addiction with those drugs, nor did any drug or alcohol ever make me undertake violence against anyone. See, I like what he's saying. Like he's kind of saying, you're blaming, it's lazy thinking to blame the alcohol and drug, which, I mean, he doesn't have a strong case with the strong stuff like hallucinogens and stuff because he's bragging about being an acid. It completely takes you out. And so he's admitting to all that. So there's no way he remembers everything on that stuff. It's crazy, crazy drug cocktails. Like I said, it's called hallucinogens.
Yeah.
How much do you have to stand on credibility wise when you're on hallucinogens? Because they're gonna use that constantly. You just know it.
Of course.
23. When I first got together with Miss Heard at the premiere for the Rum Diary in late 2011, I was drinking. However, that night I had a conversation with a friend whom I told I wanted to stop drinking, and who then hooked me up at rehab for 3 days after that premiere. I remember that before the release of The Lone Ranger in July of 2013, I had another 5-day stint in rehab, and I had not been drinking prior to the release of that film. Ms. Heard, on the other hand, continued to drink and take amphetamines, MDMA, which is acid, right? MDMA is
I think.
No, ecstasy. It's
No, you're right. Yeah,
word for
yeah.
I wish I could just say ecstasy. He wants to say it, but it looks more.
It's more official.
Or official, or what's the word I'm looking for? Therapeutic or clinical? Clinical. Yeah.
Clinical.
MDMA, magic mushrooms. That's not very clinical. and other drugs in front of me. It was not uncommon for her to have 2 bottles of wine in the space of just over an hour. She never supported me in any of my attempts to be strong to avoid alcohol and drugs. 25. After this, for the most part of our relationship, and with very occasional lapses, I would use marijuana and drink wine, whereas Ms. Heard took ecstasy, cocaine, MDMA. I guess it's not the same. I mean, maybe he said it twice. I'm almost positive it's the same thing.
Yeah, keep reading. I'll find out.
Yeah. A lot of magic mushrooms, and use a type of amphetamine similar to speed almost daily. At times, we took drugs together, MDMA, mushrooms, cocaine. However, these were not common occurrences, whereas Ms. Heard's drug taking was extensive and constant. I consider her to have an addiction to both cocaine and amphetamines.
Okay. So it is commonly known as ecstasy E or Molly.
Okay,
yeah, you're right.
He just said it twice. I guess he did.
Mm-hmm.
Molly, stupid name.
I know.
Fucking Molly. Everyone thinks it's so cool when they say Molly. That's like the cool
I know.
guy.
It's
Dude, it was
very
on Molly. What do I know? It was on Molly, man.
I have a word for it, but I'm not going to say it.
26. Often, I've tried not to drink alcohol for periods of our relationship, but despite that, Miss Heard often encouraged me to do so. By way of example, many times she placed a whiskey shot in front of me before bed, asking me to drink it. She also then wanted me to procure drugs for her. Despite her own drinking and drug taking habits and the fact that she did infinitely more than I did during the relationship, Miss Heard often bombarded me with requests to stop drinking and endless complaints suggesting that I, quote, drank too much. In fact, Miss Heard would often seek to accuse me of drug taking or drinking when I was in a low mood or when she was unhappy with me. She often complained to others that I was drunk, despite the fact that at those times I may not have been even drinking. See, now he can't even escape. Like, you could just throw that in his face. No matter, you can't even not drink, and everyone's going to accuse you of being. Once you have that out there, it overtakes all of your personality, and you're always drunk. You're always on drugs. You can't be in a bad mood. You can't be angry. It's always the alcohol. It's always drugs. You're not allowed to have any human emotions. This to Miss Heard during a relationship, but she did not stop. I now understand that often this was yet another way of belittling me.
E. Specific incidents that the defendants rely on. First alleged abuse in late 2012/early 2013.
Take a break.
Okay.
Take a long break. That was a mouthful. Take a break.
I need a sip of tea. Oh.
29. I understand from my solicitors that the defendants allege that Miss Heard and I were in Los Angeles when I first hit her. They state that until the point in our relationship I had been sober, but that, allegedly, it was apparent to Miss Heard that I had started drinking and using drugs again. They state that during a conversation about a tattoo, Miss Heard laughed at something I had said as she thought I'd made a joke. They alleged that I responded repeatedly by slapping Miss Heard across the face, and that the third hit knocked Miss Heard to the floor. 30. I do not recall having any conversation about a tattoo around this time, and I did not slap Miss Heard then or at any point in time. Neither did I hit her or commit any violent act against her. This is simply a false anecdote, which has been made up by Miss Heard. It is 31. It is further alleged that after hitting her, I cried, apologized, and tried to explain my behavior, saying that I snapped sometimes into what I call the monster, and I promised that I'd not do it again. 32. This allegation is also untrue, and no part of this alleged event ever took place. As I explained above, I have never hit Miss Heard or any woman in my life. I do not recall apologizing and calling myself a monster. At that particular occasion, I do know that Miss Heard sometimes referred to me as a monster, and we continued into our relationship. She started making me believe that I was one. This was, however, never a reference to any violence. Interesting. So he's nipping that in the bud, that it's completely unrelated. The monster has nothing to do with any of. I think her move is that she is the master of conflation, where she's taking incidents that happen somewhere else in her life and then turning them into the abuse, fake abuse stories.
Well, I truly believe that, and I think maybe you brought this up. This is stuff, like you said, she witnessed at some point in her childhood. And
yeah, I think even something like the tattoo conversation, I think she had that with someone else. Like in the
let's
months
remember
around it. And
the
said, okay,
wife.
well, I'll use that story, and I'll say that he had the tattoo, because everyone knows he has tattoos.
Yeah, well, remember the wife that she was with before him she has tattoos all over her arms.
Oh, yeah, right.
And she was accused of abusing her.
They all have tattoos.
I know.
That whole cult, that whole generation.
Well, they're tortured
That
artists.
you're not even phased by. No, I know, but they're all. It's such a cliche.
Mm-hmm.
He got tattoos when not anybody had them.
Yeah.
The first Betty Sue tattoo or the Cherokee Indian tattoo was. You see it in Jump Street season 2 when he rips the sweatshirt off in that Russell Buckins episode.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going, "Oh my god, he does have a tattoo! What the hell?" It was weird to see anybody with a tattoo back then.
Mm-hmm.
Number 33. I understand my solicitors that the defendants also allege that on March 8th, 2013, Ms. Heard and I were in her home in her home.
Yeah, she had an
Her home.
apartment.
Right. So this is still keeping that thing. He's paying for it. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, at some point he was, I'm sure.
In Los Angeles, they state that I was getting drunk and high on drugs, and I was angry that Ms. Heard had hung up a painting given to her by someone she'd formerly dated. Allegedly, my team and Ms. Heard asked her sister to come over to try to intervene with me, which she did. After Ms. Heard's sister left, they state that I'd hit Ms. Heard so hard that blood from her lip ended up on the wall. They state that I subsequently sent Ms. Heard a text referring to that evening as a quote disco bloodbath and a hideous moment. That the morning after the incident that I tried to set fire to the painting. I cannot remember if I was even with Miss Heard at her home on March 8th of 2013. I know that at some point around this time I did ask Miss Heard to remove um, that she had received from a former wife from the bedroom as a courtesy to me. I do not recall the exact date I asked Miss Heard to do this. I do not remember Miss Heard's sister being asked to come over either by Miss Heard or by any member of my team when this happened. I certainly did not hit Miss Heard at all, then or ever. And then her accusation that I hit her so hard that blood came from her lip ended up being on the wall. It's precisely the kind of picturesque but absurd lie she often tells, insofar that as I exchanged text with Miss Heard on March 12th of 2013, and I do not remember whether I did or did not. My intention in apologizing would have been, as always, to placate Miss Heard. The words disco bloodbath and hideous moment would not refer to any physical abuse whatsoever. I also did not try to set fire to the painting in question at any point in time. May 25th and 24th and 25th, 2014, 35. The defendants also alleged that on about May 24th, 2014, Ms. Heard and I were traveling on a private airplane from Boston to Los Angeles. They state that, after drinking heavily, I threw objects at Ms. Heard, causing her to retreat to a different seat. Then allegedly, provocatively, pushed a chair at her as she walked by and yelled at her and taunted her. They state that when Ms. Heard stood up, I kicked her in the back, causing her to fall over. Threw my boot at her, and she was on the ground, continued to scream obscenities, which I then went into the bathroom of the airplane and passed out. The story is nothing but one more pathological lie made up by Miss Heard.
Mm-hmm.
36. I remember the flight from Boston to Los Angeles in detail. I drunk alcohol prior to and on the flight, but my behavior was not as alleged at all. As I explained by text messages a few days later on May 27th, 2014, to my sister, Christy Dombrowski. After Miss Heard had tried to suggest to Miss Dombrowski that I should see a doctor, quote, no reason for her to speak to anyone, let alone a doctor. I'm done. Her actions have added more drama than necessary. And when I was unhealthy, exactly. When was I unhealthy exactly? When when was I not sober for a day? I guess that's what people call falling off the wagon. It's happened to a lot of my friends. Their wives don't stop calling them. 37. Miss Heard and I were seated in a central table in the cabin. I was drawing art sketches in my notebook, as I like to do whenever I'm traveling. when Miss Heard began to harangue me. I cannot remember exactly what she was saying, but it was the usual abusive stuff. Miss Heard progressed into a continuous verbal barrage, which she did not engage and instead continued sketching. Throughout the course of our relationship, Miss Heard would often look to argue with me, berate me, or abuse me verbally and physically. By the time at which the flight took place, I had worked out the best way to deal with this. Simply was to sort of not engage, try to retreat from the situation, as I've stated before. 38. Further, given where I was sitting in the layout of the plane, it was physically impossible for me to have kicked Miss Heard in the back, causing her to fall over. In fact, what happened is that when Miss Heard stood up, at some stage during the flight, I stretched my leg out to tap her playfully on the bottom with my foot to non-verbally communicate something along the lines of, hey, come on, let's get past all this. In an attempt to make light of the argument and try to diffuse the situation, but I do not believe I was able to reach her. Miss Heard saw my attempt, however, and immediately took great offense at this act and continued to verbally berate me. And just look at that vocabulary here.
I know.
Gesticulated at me. Eventually, Mr. Stephen Deuters, my personal assistant, and Mr. Jerry Judge, my security guard, intervened to calm down Miss Heard. I believe that Mr. Judge took her to a separate part of the plane and talked to her about the rest of the flight. And then I had a brief conversation with Mr. Deuters. I then took a pillow with me to the bathroom, locked the door, and slept on the floor to avoid the confrontation. God forbid, Johnny, someone's got to drop a deuce in there while you're sleeping. Is there a second bathroom? There better be. I'll go
Maybe
crazy.
that's what he did, and he's just trying to be polite.
I'm bringing a pee jar on that bathroom if I'm anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
The old Jerry Judge pee jar. The flight then continued to Los Angeles without any further incident. LA to Boston is, what would you say, 6 hours?
Sounds
5
about
hours,
right.
6 hours. They're
Probably
going straight
6. Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
When we landed in Los Angeles, Miss Heard was clearly still angry. And as was often the case, she was looking for an argument. In the same way that I did not engage with her on the flight, I did not engage with her then. 40. The defendants also alleged that I was later apologetic and appalled in my behavior during the flight and cried when my assistant told me that I had kicked Miss Heard. This is also incorrect. Mr. Deuters had never said that I kicked Miss Heard. I thought it best to simply try to get rid of the argument on Miss Heard's own terms, rather than keep pointlessly engaging. I understand that the defendants also referred to a text message to Miss Heard which stated, "Oh, once again, I find myself in a place of shame and regret. Of course, I'm sorry. I will never do it again. My illness somehow crept up and grabbed me. I feel bad for letting you down." If and insofar this text message was sent at this time, and I do not remember whether it was me, but it would also, only have been sent to placate Miss Heard as to my drinking, and is categorically not any admission of any violence, as she has falsely claimed. August 17th, 2014. 41. The defendants also alleged that on August 17th, 2014, Ms. Heard and I were in the Bahamas on a trip to try to help me reduce my dependency on alcohol and drugs. They state that during this trip I had, quote, several manic episodes requiring medical attention. As a result, which Dr. Kipper was flown in to help assist. They state that, quote, I became angry and kicked and pushed Miss Heard to the ground, slapped her with an open hand and grabbed her by the hair. And that, allegedly during this attack, I kicked it so hard, the door, that it splintered.
One point on this, in one of her pictures of evidence that she submitted, she states she has a picture of the door. It turns out that door is not from the Bahamas, and it was from another, I think, a penthouse. So she submitted false evidence Somebody with a keen eye was able to identify that it was not what she said it was, and et cetera, et cetera. I think we're going to see a lot of that.
Well, that's the conflation too. Even if you're using pictures, like let me take the door from this and place it here. Let me use this story to
It's a huge
contrive
puzzle.
abuse. Yeah.
She's just she's taken a few years out of her life to put this puzzle together. It's scary.
Amber Nigma, the Riddler.
Mm-hmm.
Number 42. It is right that on August 17th, 2014, Miss Heard and I were in the Bahamas. We were there on a trip to try to help reduce my dependence on prescription painkillers, Roxy's in particular. Not alcohol or drugs, as alleged. He loves insofar. I don't think I've ever used that in my life. Insofar as there's any insinuation that I was dependent on any other drugs, I reject the insinuation completely, categorically and patently.
If you, by the way, sorry, if you get tired, I'll take over for a bit.
No, we'll just take a pause. All
right.
So that happens. Miss Heard was only present because she had insisted on accompanying me to the trip and took the place of Nathan Holmes, my second personal assistant at the time. I required 24-hour medical care throughout this trip and was frequently sedated because of the physically painful process of withdrawal. I was being treated by a registered nurse, Miss Debbie Lloyd, but Miss Heard often intervened and withheld medicine from me, which caused me substantial issues, including spasms and other withdrawal symptoms. This is one of the cruelest things she's ever done, and I would not wish that pain that had gone through on anyone. 44. I did not have several manic episodes requiring medical attention whilst in the Bahamas. This is something that Miss Heard liked to tell people, as it made me sound like some crazy person. I was struggling with the painful process of withdrawal, which is only exacerbated by the actions of Miss Heard. As stated above, Dr. Kipper was flown in to assist Nurse Lloyd with my severe withdrawal symptoms. Boy, there's a lot of... He's got so many people working on him now to keep that SS Depp afloat during all these things he has lined up. There's so many people. I mean, you have, the two assistants and just agents and managers and his family and his sister, and then Dr. Kipper and Nurse Lloyd. It's insane.
I know.
And they're 24-hour monitoring it.
And they're also in the Australia audio in our finger episode.
Yeah. Yeah. You can hear him in the background. It's not super clear, but
it's subtitled though.
At no point, this is 45, at no point did I kick, push, slap, or grab Miss Heard by the hair. I was not violent towards Miss Heard at this or any time, nor did I kick a door so hard that I splintered it. Indeed, the picture of the broken door was Miss Heard submitted as evidence. The violent outburst and related U.S. proceedings does not even exist in the Bahamas. It was a door from one of my then penthouses in Los Angeles. So he's gotten rid of this. The penthouses are sold, gone. I do recall an argument with Miss Heard on the evening of 17th of August on this trip, which instigated by Miss Heard, of course, as often it was. I tried not to engage with Miss Heard whilst she shouted at me and tried to separate myself from Miss Heard. Later in the evening, Dr. Kipper and Nurse Lloyd came into the house in which Miss Heard and I were staying, and I believe Miss Heard claimed that I'd pushed her. This did not happen in any event. She certainly did not claim at the time that I slapped and grabbed her by the hair. 46. I had found Miss Heard had made my recovery process in the Bahamas significantly more difficult. So upon our return to Los Angeles from the Bahamas, I asked Miss Heard to give me some space. And I paid for a suite for her and her stupid friends.
God.
I paid for a suite and her stupid friends at the Beverly Hills Hotel for 5 days so that I could recover undisturbed. God damn it. What a waste of money. You
I
talk
know.
about loose money out there. You could solve every hunger and homeless problem with the money he probably threw at her to get her out of his face.
I was going to say,
Good God, what a waste.
do you think he wants that money back? Just the money that he spent on her friends alone, not even her, but just her
It
friends.
just
All
drive
those
me crazy
those
thinking about that.
mortgages and anyway.
Every time he has to, can't do something, he's calculating what he lost from his managers. He's thinking about that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What an absolute, to civilians, I would love to know how much. We should look that hotel up and see exactly what that
Oh
cost.
God. Yeah.
It's like a teacher's salary, like in the one stay.
Yeah. I can do it now if you want to keep going.
What's the name of the hotel? Beverly Hills Hotel. Is that just a general name?
Yeah, but I'm gonna go look. I'm gonna look at the
At
penthouse.
it says the Beverly Hills
Yeah.
Hotel.
Okay, I'll look up the room rate.
December 17th, 2014, number 47. I understand from my solicitors that the defendants also allege that I had been violent towards Ms. Heard on December 17th, 2014. And then afterwards, I sent her text messages supposedly apologizing for my behavior, calling myself a, quote, fucking savage and a lunatic. 48. The defendants pleaded does not even contain specific details of the violence alleged to have occurred on December 17th, 2014. And as such, I cannot provide any detail as to what happened on this date. In any event, I deny that I have ever been violent towards Ms. Heard in any way, shape, or form, or at any time, and that insofar as any text message was sent, I do not remember where they were. The words in such a text message would not refer to any violence. January 15th, January 25th, 2015, 49. The defendants also, allege that in and around January 25th, 2015, I shoved Miss Heard, slapped her, and grabbed her by the hair when we were in a hotel room in Tokyo. They state that, allegedly, when she tried to stand up, I, quote, muscled her back to the floor, stood over her, and yelled. 50. Miss Heard and I were in Tokyo in and around January 25th, 2015. But at no point did I shove, slap, or grab Miss Heard by the hair. As I explained above, I have never hit her in my life. My memory of the trip is that I passed out without incident, and Miss Heard was unusually good spirits throughout. In fact, my children were on that trip with us, and, as I have discussed above, it was always essential to me to ensure that my children do not witness even raised voices. I would have made sure of that. March 2015, 51. I understand from my solicitors that the defendants allege that when Miss Heard and I were in Australia in March of 2015, I had subjected her to, quote, a 3-day ordeal of physical assault, which left her with injuries, including a broken lip, swollen nose, and cuts all over her body. 52. Miss Heard and I were in Australia in March 2015, which I was working on the Pirates of the Caribbean film. The series, the films, this was 5. And there was a significant argument between me and Miss Heard on the March 8th, 2015, during which I sustained a severe injury, as described below. The defendant's alleged allegation was that this happened on March 3rd or 4th, 2015. It's inaccurate. I did not subject Ms. Heard to any physical abuse throughout this period. I was not physically violent towards Ms. Heard in any way during this time or at any time. And Ms. Heard did not suffer any of the injuries. This was highly difficult for me with Ms. Heard. There were a series of arguments instigated by Ms. Heard. But I did not commit any act of violence against Ms. Heard. The only person who was harmed in Australia grievously so was me on March 2015 when, as I described below, Ms. Heard threw a vodka bottle at me. I cut my finger off when the bottle exploded on the bar to which my hand was resting.
Okay, would you like an update on the price that he paid?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I went to the nicest suite. I didn't go to a bungalow. This is a per night price. Now, this is only for 2 guests and 1 room. So I'm sure there was more than 1 room and more than 2 guests.
He
So
said 5 guests, right? Didn't he say a
I
bunch
think
of her
so.
friends or something?
Yeah, it wouldn't even let me go up to that amount.
Okay.
So it only let me pick for 2 people. Per night, the nicest suite at the Beverly Hills Hotel, $6,200 per night.
God damn it. So let's assume that's the one they took. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
$30,000 for these twats
That's 1 room.
to F off on his time to get away. 1 room.
I would say there were probably 3 rooms minimum.
So you tripling that?
I would triple that. Or
So
at
we're
least
coming to $90,000.
let's say 90,000 because you got room service in there. I'm sure they weren't stingy with the room service that they had to add to the bill.
Yeah, a tenured teacher's salary, like in
Yeah.
their 20th year or something, in a good state, off his dime just to get her out of his hair.
Yeah.
Could you
Well,
waste
let's
more money on the
yeah.
worst possible cause ever?
No,
That should go to you. It should all go to you.
I agree, and I'll take it. Let's get that in super chats. Come on. All right, sorry. Let's continue.
Was that the budget of was that a salary on Arizona Dream
Probably.
or Ed Wood?
Yeah.
Some of those movies he was getting nothing.
Mhm.
What an absolute, you talk about, loose money in this society, it is just a have and a have-nots world, and the fact that those twats got that. She
Mhm.
manipulated that to get it. I just hate every bit of that. I hate every second of it, every morsel of it.
Yeah. And you're doing it because you need space.
Yeah. And you're buying great value aluminum foil
Yeah.
at Walmart.
Great value chicken tenders.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we at 53?
I understand from my solicitors that it's also alleged in the amended defense dated June 21st, 2019, that
The claimant stayed up all night taking around 8 MDMA ecstasy pills and drinking alcohol. The following morning, the claimant became physically abusive toward Ms. Heard after she found a bag of MDMA pills and confronted him about his drug taking. The claimant argued that MDMA was not on his not allowed list, which Heard disputed. In response, the claimant swallowed more pills and chased them down with liquor.
take a huge break after that.
I know.
Huge break.
Any way I can help.
Just go outside, take a walk, do something.
I know. I need a
Take
swig from the garden
a
hose
shot.
outside.
You need a shot before bed.
Ugh.
54. I did not take MDMA or any drugs in early March 2015, the time to which the allegation refers to, which is the day that I described below, nor did Miss Heard find a bag of MDMA pills at that time. I also do not remember having any conversation about MDMA with Miss Heard at this time. The defense also states that
Miss Heard, concerned about the interaction of the various drugs the claimant was taking, asked him what else he had taken that day. The claimant screamed at her and grabbed her by the wrist as she tried to leave the room, then violently dropped it and said words to the effect of, "Leave anyway." She left the room and barricaded herself into another room. The claimant broke through the door and attacked Ms. Heard. During the course of the day, the claimant hit Ms. Heard multiple times, shoved and pushed her to the ground, choked her, and spat in her face. The claimant then handed her a liquor bottle that he was drinking from and asked her, "What are you going to do?" When Miss Heard threw the bottle on the floor, the claimant responded by throwing cans and unopened glass bottles at her. ... The claimant shoved Miss Heard into a ping pong table, threw bottles through the window panels of a glass door, then grabbed Miss Heard and tore off her nightgown. The claimant grabbed Miss Heard by her hair and choked her against the refrigerator in the kitchen. The claimant then threw Miss Heard away from him, and as she tried to run away, the claimant continued to throw objects and alcohol at her. The claimant then grabbed Ms. Heard by the neck and collarbone, slammed her against the countertop, and strangled her. Ms. Heard's arms and feet were slashed by the broken glass on the kitchen countertop and floor. She was scared for her life and told the claimant, "You are hurting and cutting me." The claimant ignored her, continued to hit her with the back of one closed hand, and slammed a hard plastic telephone against a wall with his other hand until it smashed. While he was smashing the telephone, the claimant severely injured his finger, cutting off the tip. Once Ms. Heard had managed to escape from the claimant, she barricaded herself in a bedroom.
Were you reading this? Was that Michael Douglas and Glenn Close?
Yes.
It's oh man, I would love to. If you type that whole thing into Google, it probably matches up to a script.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a domestic abuse. It doesn't it sound like Michael Douglas and Glenn Close fighting in what's
Yeah,
that movie?
that's actually what I was picturing. With her in her
Yeah.
white dress. Yeah, just getting suplexed. Anyway,
The amount of detail that concoct that
I
whole
know.
thing and broken. I'd love to see her and Whitney Henriquez crafting every sentence of that.
Yeah. You can never be bored. She's constantly weaving a Pecos Bill tall tale. And yeah, how much time did this take to come up with?
If I were lying, would I have this level of detail? And
Yeah,
how
exactly.
could I possibly make up all?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just like this is like a serial killer just coming after you.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you are driven to. Why wouldn't he finish the job if that's what he was aiming? If he was so out of it, why wouldn't he just finish the job? How would you even survive? How would he suddenly snap after all that? He
Yeah.
blacks out. How would you even survive? Why would he stop? Why
Mm-hmm.
stop there?
Well, and also, you go back to our last 3 episodes in the audio. The audio was recorded after this happened. If this was such an event for her, why wouldn't this have been brought up at least once in one of those conversations?
Yeah, well, and it's also the point you hear it on a lot of. We was you said this, I think. How could you have all these people living in those penthouses?
Mm-hmm.
He would not have any of her immediate circle around if he was consistent. There's no way he would put himself in the position.
He would isolate.
Her confidants, right?
Yeah.
Have her confidants in immediate circle in the same penthouse circle jerk
Mm-hmm.
they have, in that same unit, in whatever you want to call it, a compound, penthouse compound.
That's what it was.
There's no way.
Yeah.
What is it? 70% are her people, more.
Mm-hmm.
Just Isaac Baruch is the only one.
95%.
Yeah, actually, not right. So 56.
Yep.
The events described above did not happen as alleged. Immediately before March 8th, 2015, Ms. Heard had a conversation with my then lawyers Bloom and Hergott, who explained to her my intention was to enter into a post-nuptial marital agreement to protect my assets. She was enraged that there would be such a post-nuptial agreement and that she was not included in my will. That was the prenuptial agreement. He got so much when people found out they were divorced and he didn't have one.
Mm-hmm.
This had not been out there yet. One of the reasons for her exploding was the notion to float that, and the only reason she wanted to get married is to be without one of those.
Yep, exactly.
And everybody was going, "What an idiot! How could you not have a prenuptial agreement with that succubus?" There's no way. He tried to.
He tried after.
We all knew. Well, it was. I guess they saw it coming. He has all these people. How do you have all these people, managers, agents, lawyers, and you're not getting your family, and you're not getting advice all day long.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like her, and none of them really. Jerry Judge, whoever, you gotta protect yourself. You gotta protect. We've Doug Stanhope and his testimony.
We had no ground to stand on after it was legal.
Close. Yep.
So he should have done this, of course, now hindsight, but of course he should have done that before. She would have agreed to it, just to get the marriage.
When he proposes this, he officially doesn't trust her.
Mm-hmm.
Like now he's like, wow, they're all right. I gotta do this.
Yep, exactly.
I gotta do this.
Mm-hmm.
And with Vanessa, they're not even married, so he's not dealt with this new age of prenuptial agreements, which is much stronger now because we see the gold digger the gold diggerness succubus that are out there that are preying, whether it's NBA players or in hotel lobbies, or
Yeah.
that this has become a huge thing that the most A-list famous among us have to be privy to. And if you're not, there's no way they're not all privy to it.
Mm-hmm.
At least their managers or their immediate circle warning them. There are women specifically put on this earth to gold dig and to grift. And they're all over, and they're hanging out in hotel rooms. They know you're now with the internet, you can research what someone's schedule might be. It's way easier to stalk someone now than it was when he first entered the business. And he was worried about it then.
Yeah.
On Jump Street.
Mm-hmm. He should, like I said, I mean, that's probably his biggest regret, was not getting that paper signed before.
Well, he's like, he's a Southern gentleman. What Southern gentleman asks for a prenuptial agreement?
I know, but you got to have a few minutes of clarity.
No, I know, but he's trying to present
Especially
himself
because
as like
the abuse wasn't new. She was, he says in the audio that he married her so the abuse would, subside a bit.
He's the insouciant romantic.
Yeah.
And you just don't propose that in the persona he's claiming himself to be. It's like the opposite of a Southern gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, what Southern gentleman and prenuptial agreement don't go in the same sentence? They're oxymorons. True. When I woke up in the morning of March 8th, 2015, I recall it was like my day off. I found Miss Heard watching TV in the house where we were staying. She was still very angry with me, saying things to the effect of that I don't care about her, we don't have joint credit cards, and that I don't even want to look at her. What she was saying was utterly irrational. But as I always tried to do, I tried to calm her down, and as soon as I realized that it was impossible, so I did not want to engage with Miss Heard, as I had learned from my prior experience that there was no point in doing so. She'd simply get more and more irate. Accordingly, I'd spent the day trying to avoid Miss Heard in the house and retreating from her when we came into contact. I believe, now for all you civilians, the square footage this guy has in the various residents, when you get into a fight with your spouse or beau or whoever, you don't have the luxury to retreat, to be on the same residence and go 2 miles away in the 15th room on the other wing of that.
You sit on the couch while they sit, maybe in the dining room, and you just seethe. You don't get to escape.
As you're fighting over a Netflix playlist.
Yeah.
I believe the house in Australia had at least 7 bathrooms. Here we go. Mm-hmm. I believe the house in Australia had at least 7 bathrooms, and at various points I hid in all of them to avoid Mr. He loves the bathroom. I guess that's it. It makes sense.
His lock habits. On the door.
Yeah. However, she would go after. You could turn your bathroom into a man cave.
Well, he's got an excuse. He can say, "I gotta go take a crap. I'll be back in a bit."
Yes, but you could turn your bathroom and you get TVs in there. You could do whatever you want these days.
A warm toilet seat,
Yep. However, she would go after me and endlessly hurt me with insults. I bet you he has alcohol in the bathroom. I bet he has actual
There's
booze.
Probably a mini fridge in every bathroom.
Wine glasses in the actual bathroom. I remember asking her to stop fighting multiple times that day. One of those times for at least 45 minutes, and I was sitting on the floor simply begging her to leave me alone. But she just wouldn't stop. The insults continued. She just tried to hurt me as badly as she possibly could. Each time, more and more. 58. At some point, I went to the downstairs bar in the house we had hired in order to bar. How do you hire a bar?
I don't know.
What is he saying here?
I don't know.
I went to the downstairs bar in the house we had hired in order to avoid Miss Heard. However, Miss Heard followed me and continued screaming at me abusively. I cannot remember exactly what she was saying. Under the stress of the situation, I poured myself a glass of vodka and drank it. It was with that glass that I broke my sobriety now. I needed to numb the pain, and that I was in as a result of Miss Heard's insults and behavior. Johnny, you brought it upon yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't blame the sobriety. Don't blame the alcohol. You were in a pussy fog. You created this. Hunter S. Thompson and your obsession with him created this. You have yourself. He knows he's self to blame. 59. When Miss Heard came down, she accused me of drinking again. I think I said the words to the effect of, yeah. Apparently I'm drinking again. This angered her hugely, so she walked around the bar area, took a bottle of vodka and threw it at me, narrowly missing my head and smashing it into the mirror and bottles behind me at the bar. The first bottle she threw at me was a standard size of 0.75 liter bottle. I tried not to react, so I got up and slowly walked around the bar myself. I grabbed another, bigger bottle of vodka and poured myself another glass. This enraged Miss Heard further, and she came over and grabbed the bottle from me. I then swung around behind the bar stool. Miss Heard threw the bottle at me as hard as she possibly could from a fairly short distance. The bottle smashed against my hand, which was resting on the marble top of the bar, severing the top of my finger and fracturing multiple bones, a photograph of which is at Exhibit JD2. Despite the severity of this injury, Miss Heard continued shouting at me and proceeded to put a cigarette out on my right cheek. He has all these scars on his face. You get a
Mm-hmm.
really close look in HD. He has a burn mark
Yeah, it's
from a
when he's.
childhood thing.
Oh yeah.
When he's blowing fire with fucking bones.
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say there's a picture of him laying on the hospital gurney
Yes.
with that cigarette burn on his cheek.
You know what a gurney is?
I do. I've been on one.
How
No,
do
I
you?
have. I've never been on a gurney.
No, right?
No.
A photograph of which is a 2 Exhibit JD2. The allegation that my finger was injured in that way, that it was by my smashing a plastic telephone against the wall, is ludicrous. The injury, which amputated part of my finger, was very severe and required a significant amount of medical attention. The treating medical doctor, and this is an injury of, said to me, this is an injury of velocity. It could not have been caused in the manner alleged by Miss Heard. Initially, I did not feel the pain in my finger, but felt some warmth. And I noticed that the top of my finger was missing. It was essentially looking at my bones. That's so gross.
Mm-hmm.
Just the thought of it, and if that ever happens, there's nothing. I think you just don't faint looking at it.
Yeah, when you look at it, that picture pixelated,
Yeah.
you can see into his finger. It's gross.
Yep. When Miss Heard saw this, she realized the severity of what she had done, and then she freaked out and began shouting. Imagine he was wearing a skull ring during that too, or had a brown cigarette in the finger, lodged into the finger.
Oh my god.
Mr. Depp, we found what appears to be. Oh, by the way, I found a great clip of him. It's an interview I'd never seen with him and Terry Gilliam promoting Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's a podium kind of press conference table thing. He's sitting next to Gilliam. Gilliam's talking for like 20 minutes straight.
Mm-hmm.
And the camera just pans to Depp, and it shows him rolling a cigarette from A to Z, like from point A, shows him taking out the thing, and it just zooms on him doing it. It's the weirdest thing. The whole press conference is about Fear and Loathing, and it's obsessed with him rolling. Cameraman decides you got to see this.
It could take that and just make it its own video of him rolling the cigarette.
I gotta get this downloaded before it goes away.
Yeah. All right.
61. At this point, oh wow, here we go. I was in a state of distress and severe shock. I do not have specific recollection about what happened next. At some point, she threw the bottle that cut off my fingertip. Miss Heard also put out a lit cigarette on my cheek. My check. Yeah, same thing, right?
Mm-hmm. He's the check.
Burn up. the Beverly Hills Hotel check.
Mm-hmm.
The severity of these injuries brought up the personal realization that of the severity of the abuse that Miss Heard had inflicted upon me for so long. I couldn't believe that we had come to this. I wondered what more she could do to me at this point. 62. I admit at this time I wrote on a mirror and walls in blood and paint. But my precise recollection of that particular time is not good given the state of shock I was in. There was an incident once when Amber lied to me about Billy Bob Thornton, so I wrote his name. Other than that, I do not recall exactly why I wrote what I wrote. I was just in a terrible state. At this point in the day, Miss Heard had gone upstairs to the bedroom of the house, and I was downstairs at some point. I realized that I would need some kind of medical assistance. So then the head of my security, Jerry Judge, came down to the house along with some others. I cannot remember exactly who was present, as I was delirious from the pain. So the Billy Bob Thornton stuff, all the crazy rants I've gone on with him the last 2 or 3 shows we've done. Yeah, so apparently he knows it. I'm telling you, he has spies on these sets. He is so beloved. He's been in the business for a long time. I think he has friends on every production that's going on, and they love him so much that they will report back to him all the stuff to keep, especially in the case of that. Like, who knows what position they were in, or just like what could be a PA, it could be an actual producer, it could be anything, could be cinematography people, could be whatever. Location managers. He has so many friends in this business. I think he was legitimately reported that she was cheating or making moves on him. Whichever. Yeah, of course. She was trying to seduce him.
Or she was spotted sneaking into his trailer, as she is apt to do.
I think he has spies everywhere, and I believe every word of it. And there's no way he'd overreact unless it was true.
Yeah, I agree.
I believe that when we went to the hotel where other members of my team were staying in and out, which I had a room, on arrival at that hotel, we went up to a hotel room where my team, including Mr. Deuters, looked at the injury to my finger, which had been covered until this point. We decided that we needed to immediately go to the hospital. I was in considerable pain and distress at this point, but I believe that Mr. Judge and Mr. Connolly then drove me to the hospital, where we stayed for a couple of hours whilst my finger was being treated. I do not remember much of this period, but I believe I was taken to the hospital around 6:30 on March 8th of 2015. 64. Having been treated at the hospital for at least a couple hours, I then returned to the hotel where I went to sleep. Over the course of the next few days, I told my various employees what had actually happened to the cause of the injury to my finger, as described above. However, I did not want it to attract press attention or distract from the filming of Pirates of the Caribbean. Accordingly, I instructed my various employees to say, if asked, that I had an accident where I had caught my finger in a door. So he's trying to just like cover her ass still.
He says that too in the deposition. Where,
and the trouble it caused on that set. I mean, I even brought that up on Gunk last night. The millions, was it $14 million of him shutting down production as everyone just stood around getting paid?
Wasn't it like $3 million?
It was a lot. It was I can't remember if it was $7 million. It was something a day. Was it $7 million a day? I
don't know. It might have been 3 a day. I don't remember.
It was several million dollars a day. It might have been $7 million a day. I think I read that he was just going through this and couldn't say why. And now this essentially is the reason, along with the movie's bombing, that he is now persona non grata at Disney. It's all about money. It's not about abuse. Disney doesn't care about anything. Disney's worked with many, 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 many lecherous creeps and criminals. It's all about your film bomb. We're done with you.
Yeah.
And then this was just the whole thing. The executives, the way we read with Tracy Jacobs and what they did to the production, Disney just wants nothing to do with him. He'll never be asked back. Stop fantasizing he's going to be Jackson. It's not going to happen. And you shouldn't want him to.
No,
You should be
not at
done
all.
with it. After 5 effing Pirates movies, you really need another one? I don't believe for a second you do. He did you a favor getting asked off these movies. Enough of effing Jack Sparrow.
I know. Story's been told forwards, backwards, inside out, every which
There's
way.
nothing more he could
Done.
strain from that bar
It was
rat
done
anymore.
after 2. I'll be kind saying 2. It was
I
done.
gave him the trilogy, and when I heard 4, I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
You're supposed to be allergic to this.
Okay.
65. After I left the house with my finger injury, I did not see Miss Heard again until he returned to America later in the month. Either the next day or very shortly after that, the house manager, Mr. Ben King, accompanied Miss Heard on a flight back to Los Angeles. Mr. King attested that Miss Heard confessed to him on the flight home. Have you ever been so angry with someone that you just lost it? March 2015, 66. I understand from my solicitors that the defendants also allege that on March 2015, when Miss Heard, her sister, and I were in Los Angeles, I allegedly began to, quote, oh, no, that's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Quote, began to destroy personal property in the house, including Miss Heard's belongings in her closet. Defense goes on to state that I also hit Miss Heard hard and repeatedly, and that I lunged to hit Miss Heard again. And Miss Heard's sister placed herself between them to try to interrupt the fight. I then allegedly turned my attention to Miss Heard's sister, who was standing at the top flight of the stairs, and reached out with one hand and shoved Miss Heard's sister, causing Miss Heard to believe that I was about to push her sister down the stairs. Does anybody believe? And when he states it like that, I'm even more like, who on earth believes he's pushing her sister down the stairs?
I know.
Oh, it's such horseshit. I can't imagine a jury listening to that. Like, yeah, right. She just looks like a liar. Just the crazy eyes and nothing that comes out of it. She completely unbiased people coming at that situation. Goes,
well, and the sister goes along with it too because she's scared to death.
She looks more like a liar.
Yeah.
Her eyes are even crazier. 67. I fully deny this allegation. I returned from Australia to Los Angeles in mid to late March 2015, around the 22nd of March 2015. I was at Penthouse 5, as one is wont to be when you have 5 penthouses. Eastern Columbia Building, Penthouse 5, with Miss Heard and her sister. Miss Heard was in extremely argumentative mood and kept trying to provoke me to have an argument with her. I cannot remember the specifics of this particular argument, but Miss Heard was always managed to find something to try to argue about. We did not begin arguing, but I was not violent towards Miss Heard or her sister in any way at this time. It is an absurd lie that Miss Heard employed, that she feared I was about to push her, quote, baby sister down the stairs.
That's what she says in her deposition.
Yeah, he's as irritated by that as my baby sister. And I would do anything to protect my baby sister.
Yeah. Especially the time that you beat the crap out of her. Okay.
That is not what occurred, nor did it appear that was ever going to occur. Miss Heard could see with her own lying, crazy eyes at the time. Miss Heard was, in fact, trying to prevent me from leaving the property and berating me in another rage, as I have said. I cannot remember precisely what the particular rage was about. 68. As a result, I summoned Nurse Lloyd and one of my security guards, Travis McGivern, to intervene. When they arrived, Miss Heard and I were having a verbal argument which lasted about 60 to 90 minutes. That's a long time, though.
God, with screaming, screaming for 90 minutes.
Yep. God, why can't we have that on tape? At some point during the argument, I turned to leave, and Miss Heard threw a can of Red Bull at me, striking me in the back. Shortly after, Miss Heard threw her purse at me, which was blocked from hitting me by Mr. McGivern. During the argument, Mr. McGivern was trying to protect me by standing between me and Miss Heard, but Miss Heard still managed to lunge and punch me in the face with a closed fist. This caused visible swelling and injury. Shortly after that, after I had been hit, I left the premises along with Nurse Lloyd and Mr. McGivern. It is also alleged in the defense that when Miss Heard and I were traveling I just want to say, so that's when Black Mass came out.
Mm-hmm.
So remember I showed you the clip of him with the black eye
Yep. We
when
got
they were
that.
promoting in Toronto?
Mm-hmm. Toronto.
So that's during the release of Black Mass.
Mm-hmm.
Completely checks out. 69. It's also alleged that in defense that when Miss Heard and I were traveling on the Eastern Oriental train in Southeast Asia, I picked a fight with Miss Heard, hit her, and pushed her against a wall by grasping her throat and holding her there, allegedly causing her to fear for her life. 70. In August of 2015, Miss Heard and I were traveling on the Eastern Oriental train in Southern Asia. However, I was not violent towards Miss Heard in any way at this or any other time. Here we go with Toronto.
Yep.
71. Once we had returned from Southeast Asia, I do remember particularly an argument that took place with Miss Heard in September 2015 around the time of the Toronto and Venice film festivals, which both took place in early to mid-September. Miss Heard and I had attended the premiere of Black Mass, a film in which I was the lead role, and I had sent Miss Heard into the cinema while I continued to sign autographs on the red carpet. I always try to make an effort to sign autographs for people who appreciate my work and who have taken the time to come out and show their support. So the next day, shortly thereafter, a film in which Miss Heard had a very, very minor role.
I like that.
But she makes it like she's in every frame.
Oh, if you look at that Danish girl red carpet, she is proud as a peacock, dancing up and down that red carpet like she is the star.
And I think she sold him as making a cameo
Oh, is he in that?
in it to
God.
get her the role. You know she's doing that everything she did at that time.
Probably, yeah.
Danish Girl. It's a very, very minor role in this thing called The Danish Girl, which was due to premiere. I received a call from my agent asking me to not escort Miss Heard on the red carpet because, given how much attention I had received at the previous premiere, this would be likely to steal the lead actor's Eddie Redmayne's thunder. I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a narcissistic, what an insane attention whore business that is. Like, think like why, what separates you from that is just to think on those terms at all times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting seen more. Me. I'm getting it. It's crazy.
Yep.
And he to the point he couldn't even go to the thing because he would very much upset. That's as he should. You're not getting the role if it's not for him, Toots.
Mm-hmm.
You're not even going to be there if it's not for him. He made all of that happen. You're not getting Aquaman either.
Exactly.
That's for damn sure. I did not want to do that, so I agreed not to go to the red carpet. Told Miss Heard my intention. At this point, she flew into a rage, and I said, I was a horrible person who did not support her art. I ended up going to the premiere, and Miss Heard was as charming as she could be, and I could see that she was holding a grudge, and it was only a matter of time before it surfaced on me. This is something that happened repeatedly in our relationship. We bear a grudge often for weeks, but it would take time for her anger to surface. On this occasion, I'm sorry, it might have been, I did it again, Boggins. I think I conflated London Fields and Danish Girl. I did it again.
Oh, okay.
With this cameo. I can't stop doing it. I can't. I hate her so much in her stupid IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time for her anger to surface. On this occasion, it was on the way back to our hotel room when she snapped and called me a, quote, fat old man and hurled other abuse at me. 73. This whole period and period for the rest of the year was one in which Miss Heard was incredibly violent and verbally abusive to me. I remember one incident around October 22nd, 2015, when I texted Miss Heard's mother, Paige Heard, as follows. This is so funny. My sincere apologies, darling Paige, but tonight, she threw a fit, which I could feel coming. I apologized to her 1,000 times because I ruined her night by hiding in the only place she can't get to me, my bathroom, and texted with Jack for a bit and then showered because she was hateful, hurt, and treated me like the scum of the earth. As I walked out of the door, she burst out again and began her hugely insulting tirade by throwing a full bottle of iced tea at the back of my head. I've now left, and I actually had to ask security to come in and intercede. Just like that, I did the last time she punched me in the jaw, and a couple times, which has happened on numerous occasions. This is just one example of the many abusive incidents to which I was subjected. As I said to Miss Heard's mother, Paige Heard, I'd been punched by Miss Heard on numerous occasions, and some of Miss Heard, which Miss Heard even confessed to under oath in her prior deposition. And don't tell me what it's like to be punched.
I'll read the next one if you want, because it's from the Herds.
Okay.
Okay. Paragraph 8A14 of the defense, it is alleged that on November 26, 2015, quote, Miss Heard and the claimant were in Los Angeles. The claimant ripped her shirt and threw her around the room. He threw a wine glass and a heavy glass decanter at her, which missed her. The claimant also pushed Miss Heard, causing her to fall over the back of a lounge chair and hit her head against a brick wall, which resulted in a lump on the back of her head and a split lip.
On November 26th, 2015, Miss Heard and I were indeed in Los Angeles together celebrating Thanksgiving. However, I've never abused Miss Heard in the way alleged or at all.
That would be
the video.
That's the Thanksgiving video, yeah.
We love that towel snapping Jack. God damn it. Love that video.
I'm going to do a little shorty episode on that video too.
On towel snapping Jack?
Yeah. It's your favorite part.
Can we make a GIF for that once and for all?
At some point, yes, I'll make one.
Come on, we got to do that.
We will.
You got to become the GIF man. You're great at posting GIFs. Now I want you to make them.
Okay.
And become a master at them.
All right.
You're the gunslinger with GIFs. Every time somebody says something, you have a GIF ready in like 2 seconds to counter what they said instead of haranguing them in a Sarafesto.
Get through this next sentence, and you can take a little break here because I got like a page and a half to read.
After that, we should stop because we're going to go to 3 hours.
We've got like 8 more pages, so it's up to you.
Okay, that's good. I understand from my solicitors that paragraph, the defense, it's alleged that on December 15th, 2015,
Ms. Heard and the claimant were in their penthouse in Los Angeles. The claimant threw another decanter at her, knocked items around the room, and punched the wall. He slapped her hard, grabbed her by the hair, and dragged her through the apartment. In the process, the claimant pulled large chunks of hair and scalp out of Ms. Heard's head. Ms. Heard tried to escape the violence by going upstairs. The claimant followed Ms. Heard, hit her in the back of the head, grabbed her by the hair, then dragged her by her hair up the last few steps. At the top of the stairs, the claimant shoved her twice, which made her fear that she would fall. Ms. Heard told the claimant that he had broken her wrist in an attempt to get him to stop. The claimant repeatedly hit Ms. Heard, knocking her to the floor. Each time Ms. Heard was knocked down, she stood back up. The claimant responded by veiling, "Oh, you think you're a fucking tough guy?" Then he headbutted her in the face, bashing her nose, which immediately began bleeding and causing her searing pain. When Miss Heard said to the claimant, "You headbutted me," he responded, "I just gave you a little knock with my head." The claimant then said what a fuck-up he was and left the room. Later, Miss Heard told the claimant that she wanted him to leave him and that she would call the police if he ever touched her again. When she then began to walk away toward the guest apartment, the claimant pushed her. He then grabbed her and pulled her from one room to the next, gripping her by the hair. By the time the claimant had dragged Miss Heard into the upstairs office, she had told him she was leaving him, and she could not put up with his behavior any longer. The claimant reacted by grabbing Miss Heard by her throat, pushing her down to the ground, and punching her in the back of the head. The claimant grabbed Miss Heard by her hair, slapping her in the face and screaming at her, I fucking will kill you. I'll fucking kill you. You hear me?" or similar words. The fight continued onto a bed. The claimant got on top of Miss Heard and placed his knee on her back and the other foot on the bed frame while repeatedly punching her in the head. The claimant screamed, "I fucking hate you," over and over again. The bed frame splintered under the weight of the pressure of the claimant's boot. The claimant hit Miss Heard with his closed fist, pushed her face into the mattress, and pulled out chunks of her hair. Miss Heard screamed and feared for her life. She suffered severe headaches and other pain for at least a week after this incident. During the incident, the claimant also wrote a message on the kitchen countertop in a gold pen that said, "Why be a fraud? All is such bullshit."
Um, I mean, I'm listening to that and I'm wishing that all really happened, and how she deserves probably every bit of it had it did happen. But I'm also trying to figure out what movie she got that from, and I'm trying to. It's too bad we can't somehow cross reference
If
to
you look
write
at
that scene out and find the movie she stole that from.
if you
If
look
you,
at pictures of this bed frame, the wood is like massive, like thick blocks of wood. It's not like the chipboard that we us peasants have to shop at IKEA for. This is like driftwood thick bed frame. How does it splinter just by the pressure
and
of
he'd
his
have to
boot?
be like Thanos
Yeah, exactly.
to destroy this bed.
Yeah.
It's just class, and the whole thing too. She's always doing the perfect thing in every situation. As the professional victim is wont to be. She's always she's the rational one, and then he's losing it, and it's the way she paints this. Like I can't imagine
Well,
even the most
she
rubiest
paints it.
among us.
Yeah, she also paints it in a way where he spun me around and ripped my nightgown off, exposing my beautiful breasts. And it's
Yeah,
like,
she manages to she manages to humble brag during the whole thing too.
yeah.
She slips in like that's so funny. She
He
slips in 10 humble brags.
threw me face down on the bed and put his knee into the arched curvature of my buttocks. It's like, okay. All right.
Slashing my what's the company she works for? The like
L'Oreal.
yeah, slashing my L'Oreal complexion
Yeah.
uh, with my
Ugh.
glistening cheekbones.
Yeah. He slapped me so hard the blood from my beautiful plump lips flew onto the wall. Okay.
my chiseled mirror triceps struggle to brace yourselves on the bed frame.
Ugh. Yeah.
That's so funny. It is. It's just she manages to. You're so right. She humble brags even in the state of
Without humble
without even
bragging, yeah.
78. I was at the penthouse in which I lived with Miss Heard on the 15th of December 2015. I was not violent towards Miss Heard in any way. In fact, on this date, Miss Heard had violently attacked me, as she'd done on many times before, leaving me with a number of scratches and swelling around my face. Miss Heard has fabricated these allegations, including falsely claiming that the blonde hair on the floor was her hair that had been pulled out by me. 79. I remember this period as one in which Miss Heard was continually trying to argue with me and at times would physically assault me. Clearly, if Miss Heard had actually been assaulted in the way she described above, she would have had a very severe and visible injuries. There's no evidence whatsoever of this having been the case. And indeed, just the next day, she taped an episode of James Corden's talk show with visible absence of any injury apparent whatsoever. Miss Heard's stylist, Samantha McMillan, worked with Miss Heard many hours in the afternoon on December 16th of 2015, preparing for that Corden show. I understand from my U.S. lawyers that Miss McMillan gave a declaration that a makeup-free Miss Heard had no marks whatsoever on her face. Yet, after the show was over, Miss Heard said to Miss McMillan, "Oh, can you believe I just did that show with two black eyes?" God damn.
Mm-hmm.
It is alleged. Poor McMillan to get in the middle of this crap.
I know.
She's like, she thought it was like this little throwaway talk show gig, and she's like, I'm embroiled in this now. I'm going to, and a lot of them did it from Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the testimonies at that point. It is alleged, and I think a lot of these people know that they're going to be targeted by the furious, psychotic, hardcore militant Depp heads that will anything untoward towards him. They're gonna just gonna eviscerate them online.
Yeah.
However, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They have to know this. When you're going into that someone as beloved as him, there's no, even though a lot of public sentiment against him had dropped a lot, but there's always going to be that swath of psychotic, loyal, Depp-head warriors that will take up the fight till their dying day, until he marries them, each and every one of them.
Yep. So do you want me to read 80?
Or is that Depp saying? Because
No, it's his, but this is what Heard's side said.
Okay, yeah, you did that.
Okay. All right.
And
So this is
break.
Okay, April 21st, 2016. Miss Heard had a birthday celebration with friends at the couple's property at 849 South Broadway, Los Angeles, the South Broadway apartment. The claimant arrived drunk and high on drugs. After the guests had left, the claimant and Miss Heard had a conversation about his absence from the celebration. This deteriorated into an argument. The claimant threw a magnum-sized bottle of champagne at Miss Heard, which missed and hit a wall, and threw a glass of wine over Miss Heard, which smashed.
To that, on April 21st, 2016, Miss Heard did in fact hold a birthday celebration at her penthouse, 849 South Broadway, Los Angeles, the South Broadway apartment. I know that I was 1 hour and 40 minutes late to the party because I was at a meeting with the recently hired business manager and his accountants. Earlier that day, I told Ms. Heard that I had an important meeting, and during that meeting itself, I texted her to say that the meeting was likely to finish far later than the birthday dinner was scheduled to start. Despite this, Ms. Heard was cold towards me when I arrived. Following the events of the meeting, I was in a state of shock, having learned that the state of my business affairs at that point in time. It is alleged that in paragraph 8B that I arrived drunk and high on drugs. I was not intoxicated in any way on this date, as the business manager with whom I had been meeting with for hours before leaving for the party has testified already. I was just tired and subdued. After the party was over, I went to bed and I began reading in the penthouse.
All right. I'll read the next. At paragraph 8C of the amended defense, it is alleged that the claimant then grabbed Miss Heard by the shoulders, pushed her onto a bed, and blocked the bedroom door when she tried to leave. The claimant then grabbed Miss Heard by the hair and violently shoved her to the floor. The claimant screamed at and threatened Miss Heard, taunting her to stand up and saying, "You really think you're that tough, huh? Tough guy," and similar words. When she stood up, the claimant shoved her down again. Miss Heard eventually escaped from the bedroom and walked through the office, at which point the claimant pushed Miss Heard and grabbed her by the back of her hair. Miss Heard then returned to the bedroom and the claimant pushed her again. When Miss Heard lifted her arms to defend herself, the claimant pushed them down and bumped his chest into hers, causing her to fall back onto the bed. Miss Heard tried to walk past the claimant to leave the bedroom, but he pushed her to the floor. After this, he stormed out of the apartment, tossing aside and smashing items as he left.
I believe every word of that. She did the perfect thing in every situation.
I know,
God,
exactly.
she's so eloquent, even in abuse.
Mhm.
What an amazing! I mean, how does she conduct herself so magnificently during that whole thing, and always doing the perfect thing in every situation? Incredible.
He's always pushing her to the bed because
It's always,
she's so sexy, and he just wants to push her onto a bed.
In fact, Miss Heard, who had been drinking heavily, had become aggressive and violent towards me, punched me twice in the face as I lay in the bed reading, causing an injury to my face. After the first punch to my face, I didn't even defend myself. After the second punch to my face, I defended myself by grabbing Miss Heard's arms to stop her punching me again, and I told her to stop. I then told her I was leaving and that she should not follow me. I called Mr. Sean Bett, a member of my security team who was then stationed at the penthouse apartment next door, and who had previously been a 14-year veteran of the LA Sheriff's Department, and I asked him to drive me home to West Hollywood. I explained to him that Miss Heard was at it again, or words to that effect. I did not smash or toss aside any items I was leaving. Mr. Bett took me to my house and insisted on taking a photograph of the injury caused to my face by Miss Heard during the incident, and then took me to my house. 85. I understand that the following morning, Miss Heard, or possibly one of her dopey friends, defecated in our shared bed on 12th. Let's just go back to that. So now I've said, I said it in the beginning, and we all should know, he came back from a business meeting, and they didn't really clearly state it here, but he was told he essentially lost $600 million. He was stolen from him by his managers, and he was trying to piece together, where did it go? How do I get it back? What the hell? And he's just completely punch drunk by this, and he has to go to this again, charlatan, hipster, bohemian, grifter, gold digging, dumb 30th birthday party for her, where you think she needs attention on a regular basis. Try this scene.
Yeah.
And he has to try to rise to the occasion of this.
It's the whole, but it's my birthday. You should be there for me. You never think about me. And for that, I'm going to shit in your bed.
And all you can imagine going to a birthday party after you found that one out.
I know. You got to hang with her dopey friends.
I can't imagine. I don't know if I've ever been in a situation close to that where you had to go to a party and got news. Like, I guess it'd just be like, a relative dying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you have to go to this party and you can't get out of it.
Yeah, I don't know how you sit there and read in bed after that either.
And then he's reading, I don't know, what is he?
And then
what is that literature?
I know, God, the collected works of Byron. But and then she's smacking you in the face. Oh my God.
I bet it was Keith Richards' book. Didn't he come out with a book like right around that?
No, probably.
I'm on 85.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand that the following morning, Miss Heard, possibly one of her stupid friends, defecated in her shared bed. On May 12th, 2016, Miss Heard confessed to our state managers, Kevin Murphy, that leaving the feces in the bed had been just a harmless prank, thereby effectively acknowledging that she had been responsible for it, whereas she'd previously sought to blame our dogs that were both too tiny to jump onto our bed nor able to leave feces like that, which were deposited on the bed. I resolved to divorce Miss Heard on that day. 86. Soon after, I explained the incident to Miss Heard's father, David Heard, by text on May 11th, 2016. We've not, dear David, dogfighting Dave.
No.
We have not spoken to one another since I left at 4:30 a.m. on the morning of 22nd. Her birthday, the argument, once again, brought her straight to that uncontrollable rage, and she started throwing fucking haymakers around again. I cannot allow anyone to believe that it's okay to insult me, disrespect me, and then feel as though she can just apply violence in any situation that is already spinning out of control.
Maybe the next
May
one.
21st. This is her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, May 21st, 2016. The next time Miss Heard saw the claimant was on May 21st, 2016. He arrived at the South Broadway apartment at around 7:15 p.m. He was drunk and high. Miss Heard was present together with Elizabeth Mars, Raquel Rose Pennington, and Ms. Pennington's fiancé, Joshua Drew. Ms. Pennington and Mr. Drew lived in a neighboring apartment. Of course they did. And Ms. Pennington kept a key to the South Broadway apartment.
So you get a little look at who's in this. Yeah, so that's, I don't know, more or less her best friend and fiance that Depp just says, "Yeah, take a penthouse," and they're just kind of in on this whole thing. It'd be interesting when we get into their testimonies where they go, "This Josh Drew, there's a video of him when the cops come to the penthouse compound. He answers the door and he lets them look around, and it contradicts everything she says."
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get a look at how that all goes in, what he looks like. Rocky Pennington's not in there, right? She's not. Is she in the video?
She's sitting on the couch with Heard.
Do you get a good look at her?
No, they're both kind of in the dark.
Yeah, you don't. Right? It's weird lighting in there.
Now, let me ask you this before we continue. Do you want to stop here? Because there's 6 pages left. I just skimmed down through it. And we can do that next in part 2 and then start the trial, or do you want to just bust this out now?
6 page. It says 45.
No, I know, but there's like 10 pages of just evidence that he submitted.
Let's try to finish it, I guess.
Okay. All right.
Dates December 12th, 2019. Since the incident on April 22nd, 2016, Ms. Heard had repeatedly tried to contact me either directly or through his sister, Whitney Heard, who continuously asked me to get back in touch with Ms. Heard. The next time Ms. Heard and I saw each other was on the May 21st, 2016, prior to arriving to pick up my things. Imagine having to go there
I
to
know.
pick up your things in the compound
Mhm.
you paid for with your blood, sweat, and art. I would just drive you. Wouldn't that drive you crazy?
Absolutely.
Knowing she had squatted the shit out of this place and
Mhm.
almost like glorified squatters' rights where, oh man, that would just be insane. Prior to having arrived to pick up my things, I told Miss Heard on the phone that the relationship had not worked out and that I was going to file for divorce. I promised that I would file in a low-key kind of way that would not make her look too bad. Oh, why? Why bother? Why?
I know. I'd be scorched earth at this point.
You need to make her look bad to help mankind, that anybody else that might go through the same thing,
Mhm.
and whoever the next victim is she preys on, you need to do that for mankind,
Yeah.
for any male or female, anyone who's going to be manipulated and victimized by this grifter and sociopath and succubus. There's absolutely no point in taking the high road
No.
in this situation. I don't know. Is he hoping that she doesn't go after more?
Probably.
This will somehow, that if he,
Mhm.
it's got to be some weird negotiation. Look, I'll do the, if you don't go after my da 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 da, if you don't tell me that, I'll go. It had to be.
Mhm.
Then several hours passed before my arrival at Penthouse 3. I do remember the exact time we arrived at the South Broadway apartment. It was a little after 8 p.m. The South Broadway apartment has multiple penthouses, some of which are adjoining. Penthouse 3 is where Miss Heard alleged the abuse occurred that day, and where Miss Heard and her friends testified that I saw a magnum sized wine bottle leaving a carnage of smashed fruit, cutlery, glassware, candelabras, and spilled wine in Penthouse 3. A diagram showing the location of each penthouse is at pages 3 of Exhibit JD 289. I did not know who Miss Elizabeth Mars was, concluding that she was just another friend of Amber's living rent-free in one of my penthouses. But I remember observing some woman who was with Mr. Drew in Penthouse 5. To the best of my knowledge, Miss Heard was alone at Penthouse 3 when I arrived. Although it now appears that Miss Pennington was hiding in Penthouse 3's coat closet just inside the door, because my two guards were, unbeknownst to both Miss Pennington and Miss Heard, guarding the door that was the only way in or out of that Penthouse 3. So she had to already have been inside Penthouse 3 waiting in ambush for me with Miss Heard. A number of Miss Heard's friends, including Miss Pennington, Mr. Drew, and Miss Mars, lived and worked out of the South Broadway apartment rent-free for approximately 4 years.
God.
Wow, what a setup.
I know.
Wow.
Mhm.
Is there any doubt that she staged that too, or she'd be hiding it? It's such a
Yeah, that's so
typical thing.
creepy.
They have all the time in the world to plot that
Mhm.
out.
Yep.
And neither of them have anything to do at any point.
Nope.
It's just, I mean, I could just so. I understand from my solicitors that paragraph 8D of the defense alleges that I arrived drunk and high on drugs and became very angry during the conversation with Miss Heard. In fact, I arrived sober, accompanied by members of my security team, Mr. Bett and Mr. Judge. I had concern around what Miss Heard might do on this occasion based on all the physical and verbal abuse I'd already received from her. I wanted to collect some of my belongings. Security guards waited immediately outside the door of Penthouse 3. I was in the apartment for approximately 10 minutes in total.
Okay. Okay. During a conversation with Miss Heard, the claimant became very angry. Miss Heard tried to calm him down by telephoning one of his trusted employees and asking him to intervene, but this was unsuccessful. The claimant became increasingly enraged. Miss Heard became concerned for her safety and texted Ms. Pennington, who was by now in her apartment next door, asking Miss Pennington to come back over. The claimant insisted that Miss Heard call her friend Io Tillett Wright, which Miss Heard attempted to do. The claimant ripped the phone from Miss Heard's hand and began screaming profanities and insults. The claimant then tossed the phone away and stormed upstairs. Miss Heard picked it up, and Miss Wright yelled over the phone to Miss Heard to get out of the house. After a short period upstairs, the claimant came back down the stairs, then grabbed the phone again, and this time threw it at Miss Heard, striking her cheek and eye. Miss Heard sustained an injury to her right eye. Miss Pennington subsequently took a photograph of the injury as well as of items which the claimant smashed. Miss Heard covered her face and was crying with pain. The claimant charged at her. He forcibly pulled back her hair, and Miss Heard attempted to get up from the sofa. Miss Heard called out, "Call 911," hoping this would be heard by Miss Wright, who was still on the phone. The claimant shouted, "I hit your eye? I hit your eye, huh? Let me see your eye. Let me see your eye. What if I pulled your hair back? Let me see how hard I hit you." Pulled Miss Heard's hair, struck Miss Heard, and violently grabbed her face. The claimant started to slap, shake, and yank Miss Heard around the room while she continued to scream. May I say, every time she describes this, it's like she just goes limp, like Raggedy Ann. And it's like he's just throwing her around the room like she's a mannequin.
And she's always doing the perfect thing to diffuse the situation.
Yeah.
There's
Johnny.
the perfect call to 911, right? The
I
perfect
know.
pleading. I'm not.
Call 911.
Io Tillett is in New York, we should say, right? Supposedly,
Yeah.
this did happen.
But see, also, I don't know if it's mentioned here, but Raquel Pennington calls 911 too. So there's 2 phone calls to 911.
Yep.
That's why long term the police show up twice. Okay.
And that's when they visit the Josh
On video.
Drew.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's absolutely nothing.
No damage whatsoever.
Remotely connected to what you just read.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. I mean, to know that, and she has them all in cahoots to corroborate on this same thing.
Exactly. Now, the pictures they took of all the damage he allegedly did to this apartment, the police would have seen that, because it is. The theory is after the police left, they went on a rampage through the apartment so they could take photos.
Right.
They're down the staircase. It's like she says he took her. She had like a rolling cart of clothes. He took that, threw that down the stairs. There's photos of this. When the police are walking through the room, their camera that's on their body shows nothing. So it's so creepy how planned this was. And all of these friends are working together with her to somehow be able to stay in these apartments for the rest of their lives and drain his money through some blackmail attempt. It's so weird.
The current insurrectionist Congress is just pulling out all this, evidence, and it's like, and then you have some people now who are just like, enough, we have it. Like, he told them to go attack the Capitol. That's all you need. It's right here. It's one tape. Enough. That's it. That's all you need. I don't have to go any further. It's just like that. If you're a jury and you see that footage of the cops coming through their apartment, like, that's all. That's it. That's enough. They made the whole thing up. They have no credibility anymore. You don't need to go any further than that. Just the cops walking in to that penthouse going, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you shouldn't need, at that point, you just go, case closed, Your Honor. That's all we need.
Mm-hmm.
Why should you need to go any further than that?
I know.
Or even the Thanksgiving, like, ebullience with Towel Snap and Jack. Okay, we're at 92?
Yeah.
Once I arrived at the apartment, I telephoned Mr. Murphy from downstairs to confirm Miss Heard what he earlier told me about her confession that the defecation incident, April 22nd, 2016, was, quote, just a harmless prank. Mr. Murphy repeated that Miss Heard admitted to him that she was responsible. Miss Heard screamed and swore at Mr. Murphy, repeatedly called him a, quote, fucking liar. I asked Miss Heard not to speak to Mr. Murphy in that manner, and told her again that I wanted a divorce. Mr. Murphy hung up the phone as Miss Heard would not stop screaming. 93. I went upstairs to collect my belongings. Miss Heard was downstairs. She telephoned Mr. Io Tillett Wright and began speaking loudly on the phone about me and the defecation incident in a mocking and goading manner. We should say, anybody who's not familiar with the song, Io Tillett Wright is a transgender,
Transitioned. Yes.
transgender. So it's really a female. If you wanna, he's trying to do the politically say Mister
Mm-hmm.
and his or her but it's a transgender transition. So don't act like this isn't a dude that looks like Brendan Schaub. In a mocking and goading manner, I did not rip the phone out of Miss Heard's hand, as is alleged at the paragraph of HG of the defense. I went downstairs, took the phone in order to speak to Mr. Wright, and told him, "You got what you want. You can have her. I don't care. It's over." And I guess she had something going on with she's sexually fluid, so
Mm-hmm. He's thinking
she's
that
having a lesbian
she's having
affair
an
with her.
affair. Yeah. One of many.
Or words to that effect. I then tossed the phone next to Miss Heard and onto the sofa in which she was sitting. I then crossed the room away from Miss Heard towards the kitchen, which is approximately 20 feet away from the sofa. I did not storm upstairs or come back down to take the phone from the second time. 94. I've also been told by my solicitors that it is alleged that
Okay. Miss Pennington entered the flat, at which point Miss Heard escaped from the claimant's grasp and moved to the other side of the room. The claimant charged at Miss Heard again. Miss Pennington ran between them, extending her arms to separate them, and begged the claimant to stop. The claimant then grabbed Miss Pennington's arms and continued to yell obscenities. Miss Heard then retreated to the couch. Miss Pennington came over and covered Miss Heard in a protective posture. The, the claimant picked up the magnum-sized bottle and began drinking out of it and swinging it around, smashing everything he could. I swear, the way she describes this, it's like Jim Morrison.
yeah.
Swinging like
It's probably taken from a Doors scenario.
yeah, Val Kilmer in the Doors movie.
Yeah, is that a scene from the
Completely.
Doors?
Oh, there's stuff very similar where he sets the closet on fire where Pam is.
Oh, I bet you she did. Yeah, that's so great by you. It's a
Yeah.
great kid. Depp's former director, Oliver Stone.
Yeah. The claimant then moved closer and closer to Miss Heard, acting in a threatening manner. By this time, members of the claimant's security team, including Jerry Judge, had entered the flat. Miss Heard yelled at Mr. Jerry to help her and said that if the claimant hit her again, she would call the police. As the claimant walked down the hallway, he smashed other items and kicked a hole in the door. He went into an adjoining apartment, which Miss Heard used as an office. Why did she need an office? Paintings.
I know, it's little things like that I think irritate me more than the big things. I hear she's an art studio, and
I know.
just the getting the hotel room for her and her friends. You could visibly hear how pissed I was. Just the sort of the squandering money on those twats.
Mm-hmm.
I just hate all of it.
I know
where that could go to so many great, and now he's doing FITs.
Yeah. NFTs.
NFT, I'm sorry.
Fashion and Institute whatever.
Never fear truth.
All right. He went into an adjoining apartment, which Miss Heard used as an office, painting studio, and closet, where Miss Heard heard him smashing further items and screaming.
95. Miss Pennington certainly did not, quote, enter the flat, as my guards were guarding the only door to the penthouse 3 would have seen or stopped her. It appears that she was hiding in the coat closet just inside the door, because suddenly Miss Pennington appeared and bolted right past my shoulder to run to Miss Heard's side. I did not touch Miss Pennington during the entire time she was there, and I did not verbally or physically abuse Miss Pennington in any way at this time or any time. Miss Pennington was shouting, "Don't do it, stop it, leave her alone," or something to that effect. And as I was crossing the room towards the kitchen, Miss Heard also began shouting, "Stop it, Johnny! Stop hitting me, Johnny!" Hearing the shouting, the security guard stationed outside immediately opened the door and rushed into Penthouse 3 via the kitchen where I was standing. Immediately upon opening the door, the security guards observed me standing in the kitchen far away from Miss Heard while she was shouting into the phone, "Stop hitting me, Johnny," or some words to that effect. Miss Heard was visibly shocked when the guards entered, and both Miss Heard and Miss Pennington began to feign crying. Miss Heard changed from present tense to past tense, and suddenly, he hit me with a phone. That's the last time you hit me, Johnny. You better not hit me again," or some words to that effect. I did not move, but said to Miss Heard, "What are you talking about? You're crazy. I didn't hit you." Miss Heard screamed, call 911, presumably because Mr. Wright was still on the phone. Mr. Wright later testified under oath that he called 911 to save her life. But this too is a lie. When I was shown the police call log, neither the call to 911 nor the police dispatch occurred much more than an hour later after I left 829. Mr. Judge, my security guard, told me, let's just get, let's get out of here, boss. Let's just go. I care about you. Oh, no, let's just get out of here. And immediately took me out of the door. The time between the guards entering and leaving with me was less than 1 minute. 97. I did not break any items in penthouse 3 or 5 or anywhere else. I did not kick a hole in the door. I was not swinging a bottle of any size around the room. I did not create the picturesque carnage and penthouse 3 that Miss Heard and her friends described, including broken fruit, candelabras, cutlery, glass, and spilled wine everywhere. 2 domestic abuse-trained police officers who attended the property shortly thereafter the alleged incident inspected the property and saw no spilled wine, broken glass, or any sign of disturbance whatsoever. This is the video we keep putting up. So now he's got it, and he knows, man, I can't wait. Ms. Heard and her friends have testified in the related U.S. proceedings they did not clean up the destruction before the first set of 2 police officers arrived, and then 2 more police officers responded, and they had same findings of no damage, property, or Ms. Heard. I'm aware that Ms. Pennington took photographs, curiously, with no attendant metadata showing their provenance, or some purportedly smashed items. However, those items were not smashed by me on May 21st or ever. 90. I just want to say, we're not talking about Johnny Depp. We're talking about Officer Tom Hansen, who has been a cop since he was 21 years old. Okay, we're also talking about Detective Russell Poole, who solved the notorious B.I.G. and Tupac Shakur murders. We're also talking about Donnie Brasco, the highest decorated FBI officer in terms of infiltrating the U.S. Mafia. Do you really think he's not going to have all his ducks in a row, forensic-wise? You know who you're dealing with?
Mm-hmm.
The amount of police skills this man has accrued since 1987,
Yep.
they don't stand a chance.
No, he's already broken all this down.
Ichabod Crane. Also, master forensics detective.
Howard Stern?
Forget it. That's Wigabod Crane.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
98. I understand that those 2 police officers who visited the apartment night of the alleged incident interviewed Miss Heard twice in good light, noted no injuries, bruising, mark, or swelling on Miss Heard's face or body. When one of the officers asked Miss Heard what happened, she responded, nothing. When Miss Heard was asked if she was hurt, she shook her head. Miss Heard did not tell the officers that she had not been assaulted. She was not injured and refused medical treatment. According to the police officer's testimony, Miss Heard said she did not want to make a police report and that there had been nothing wrong. I'm aware that Miss Pennington took over some of the photographs of Miss Heard's face, allegedly showing injuries that had caused on May 21st, 2016. Miss Heard had no visible injuries on this date, as attested to by the officers who had attended the South Broadway apartment that evening. Thus, as far as the photographs have been taken by Miss Pennington are concerned, these injuries could not have been caused by me on May 21st or ever, because I did not do anything to cause such injuries. 99. After leaving Penthouse 3, Mr. Judge, Mr. Bett, and I went to Penthouse 5, where we discovered Mr. Drew, a woman whom I now understand to be Miss Mars, and a dog, and a Camilla. It appeared that they had been using my new apartment to operate some sort of craft beading business. I told them to leave, and they did. We then left the apartment just before 8:30 p.m.
The temporary restraining order application. Whew.
Is this me reading this, or okay?
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah.
It's the wrap up.
100. On May 27, 2016, Ms. Heard filed a TRO application, which provided the defendants with the evidence on which they originally relied for the article, in which she alleged that I had physically abused her on the 21st of April, 2016, and on May 21st, 2016. 101. I was absolutely shocked when the TRO application was filed. I could not believe that when I had suffered so much abuse from Miss Heard, I was now being accused of abuse that had not happened, particularly given the true accounts of what had happened on these dates as set out above. 102. I texted both Amber's mother and father at this time, expressing my disbelief and setting out what had actually happened. 103. On May 27, 2015, I sent the following text to Miss Page Heard on page 4 of Exhibit JD2. Quote, I will never understand how we got here. My love for your daughter has been constant and impenetrable. No pun intended. But we're divorcing now because I was 2 hours late for her birthday dinner because I was in a meeting with a new business manager, and the bank, as my former business manager, fucked me over royally. Also, she knew I was going to be late. I texted her from the meeting several times. She treated me like a redheaded stepchild in front of all her friends, and it only got worse when we came home. She got violent and left. I left, as I always do when she decides to get violent with me. Her charges against me are simply not true. I did not throw the phone at her. I was facing away from her to walk away, and I lobbed it over my shoulder. I had no idea she wouldn't just catch it, or if it would just land on the couch. And then, of course, Rocky comes to the rescue, as if I'm some goddamn psycho beast. The timing is ugly. My mom just passed away. Amber, the love of my life, can no longer exist in me. To perjure herself against me is too far. I don't deserve this, Page, but, if this is what's happening, this is what I must deal with. Apparently she's back with Tasya Fantasia. I don't know what has ever been true or what has ever been a lie, though I miss her, I guess, and of course, stupidly, I still love her with everything in my bones. I guess I just couldn't make her smile anymore, and that is all I ever wanted to do. I'm gonna call you in a bit if you're okay with that. I love you, my dear Paige. I miss you very much. And then on that same day, I texted Mr. David Heard as follows. How you feeling? Nah, fuck that. What drugs are they giving you? Oh, you too. You
Mhm.
too. And
Yeah, I
your
know.
crazy bro antics. I cannot believe what's going on. Amber's calling this domestic violence. She submits a picture that says I threw a phone at her. She's putting herself in deep trouble if she continues to perjure herself. I have done nothing to deserve this. This is so fucking sick. I've never been charged nor arrested for domestic violence. She has. Twice. This all makes me sick to my stomach. I worshipped her, and I've been betrayed by the very love of my life. Fuck it. She killed it. I guess I was so bad that it was fine for her to leave me and go to Coachella for 4 fucking days with all of her girlfriends and not give her birthday to us. The festival and her friends were clearly more important than working things out with me. With these lies, she's spilling to save her ass from the press, and the truth will always catch up, and the truth will be a bitch. And as I have not said a word about it, I have 2 witnesses who were in the room when she said that I flung a phone at her. Absolute fucking lie. She wants a divorce, she gets it, but the world will receive the truth, and she's caught perjuring herself. She will. Australia would reopen their case against her to investigate whether or not she has filed a restraining order against me. Man, cruel and unforgivable. I've done nothing but love her. Anyway, there you have it, brother. I hope she's happy now. 105.
You want me to read the father's text back?
No, I'll do it.
Okay.
Miss Heard's father replied shortly after, stating on page 5, Exhibit JD2, the lawyer told me what she had done to her. She'd have no place to live in 30 days, which I replied, that is absolute bullshit. Her lawyer asked for 2 weeks downtown, please. And I said, no. She could stay there as long as she liked. Why I'd force her out in 2 weeks? I ain't no scumbag. Dude, my fucking wedding ring is still on me. I'm not taking it off. Because I love her. It's coming off now. Oh, wait, this is Depp reading it. What is going on here? I don't understand.
Okay. David Heard says the lawyer told her she had to, or she would have no place to live in 30 days. And then
Okay.
Depp replies.
Okay, right. I thought it was he was saying that he wrote this whole thing back to him.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. Keep going.
To which Lawyer told her she had to, or she'd have no place to live in 30 days. To which I replied, that is absolute bullshit. Her lawyer asked her for 2 weeks at the downtown place, and I said no, she could stay there as long as she liked. Why would I force her out in 2 weeks? I ain't no scumbag. Dude, my fucking wedding ring is still on me. I has not taken it off because I love her. It is coming off now, though. What a fucking knife to the back. I'm so disappointed and so hurt. It's just too much. Later, brother. Feel better. JD. Around this time, I received the following text from Page Heard, which confirmed what David Heard had told me all along.
You want me to read this?
Yeah, please.
It's the lawyers on both sides doing this, not Amber. I heard the whole story very teary. If I could just talk to Johnny. She didn't want this. Friggin' lawyers on both sides. This was not her idea, not her wishes. She was told she would be evicted and out in 30 days if she did not do this.
Miss Heard's mother then confirmed this again, texting me on page 6, exhibit JD2.
Yes, it was, I am sure. Her dumb lawyer possibly as the only way she would have a place to live in 30 days. She did not want to do this, and I swear to you, the lawyers are friggin' things up.
I simply could not understand why Miss Heard is now seeking to show me as some kind of violent wife beater, and then I've never been abused her at all. I expressed this to her mother, Miss Page Heard, as follows, page 6, exhibit JD2. If she didn't want to file a restraining order against me and send a message to the world that I'm some kind of violent wife beater, then why would she go to the courthouse with a photo of her that looks like she's been abused? This is my life, too. What are my children and my children's friends supposed to think? I do not deserve this, and they do not deserve this, especially not from her. And so let me just say, kids are cruel, especially at the age Jack is at here and stuff. And I have a friend of a friend whose son went to school with Jack, public school, and it doesn't sound like. Do you see that as being the case, that he's actually taking shit at school?
I can see that. I can see that. There could have been a little asshole at the school who didn't like him anyway, so he threw that in his face.
If you hear anything,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's subtle, even if it's just like, it's got to be, it's a mortifying thing. And as big as that news was at the time, and it's a Hollywood school, Hollywood meaning the idea, not in terms, I mean, it could be, I don't know what the actual name of the school is, but it's in the general, whatever, LA, Hollywood area. And let's face it, it's the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And you could try to, a couple civilians might be there with no stake in the, movie or TV. But for the most part, I'm guessing that school is 80% kids that are exposed to the industry, and it's just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So he's coming back and telling him that seems to hurt him the most.
Yeah.
That this is. Have you ever in your school days, you ever hear of anything like this with people in your, like a kid in your school? Was there ever anything?
No, I mean, this kind of thing.
Rumor with their parents and
no, back in
any kind.
In my day, that stuff wasn't made public if it was happening. Even if
I mean, I guess they got it from the news, but you'd think like there'd be, rumors about people's kids' parents.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't hear much of anything. I mean, there'd be divorces occasionally, but even that was rare.
Mm-hmm.
Specifics, I can't remember anything close to salacious.
No.
In terms of gossip about parents of kids in my.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a weird world that is, because the industry is so. It's just so pervasive in what the kids do and the.
Yep.
Okay, so 109. She replied to me by stating, page 6, exhibit JD2.
Her lawyer told her she had to, and she had to today. That's why she wanted to talk to you. She didn't talk, or we didn't talk, so please never bring this up. But I'll swear to you, this was not her idea, nor did she do it willingly or happily. She was told it was her only option to not be kicked out. I'm not making any excuses, but that is what she believed. She did not want to do it. She felt she was betrayed. Her only love. Oh God, sorry. She felt she was betraying her only love, but the lawyer said so. Please don't pass this on if you ever talk to Amber again. I love you, son.
I I fully believe that her parents like him better at this point,
Yeah, they're scared to death of her.
and they're scared to lose him as their, dream son-in-law to get them all this access that they've ever wanted, and their meal ticket for
Mm-hmm.
how many lifetimes over.
Yep.
I would love to know how much money he threw at them
Mm-hmm.
over that time. Good God, what do you think he threw at them? I'm sure that'll come out at
Absolutely.
some point. In any event, the TRO application was dismissed with prejudice on August 16, 2016. The way in which the defendant subsequently reported Ms. Heard's accusations in the article differed from the many other articles that reported Ms. Heard's accusations, in that they adopted them as true and used them as lies to suggest that I was guilty on overwhelming evidence of abusing Ms. Heard. This, despite the fact that prior to the publication of the article, the Sun had previously reported the fact that TRO application had been dismissed, and that there was evidence from two police officers who attended the scene on May 21st, 2016, which directly contradicted Ms. Heard's account of the events, as they had not seen any injury to Ms. Heard or any damage in the apartment. Is this it, or are we going
Yeah,
to
this is it.
reputation?
Yep.
Last page or last
Last
section?
paragraph.
Okay, we'll stop here. Reputation, 111. I reiterate what I have said throughout this witness statement. At no point have I ever been physically abusive to Ms. Heard. I strongly object to the defendant's rehashing allegations of abuse against me, the veracity of which I have never been tested, in order to attempt to sell more newspapers. In their efforts to defame me, defendants even lied about the substance of their interview about me, their interview about me with real #MeToo victim Catherine Kendall. Ms. Kendall has testified and provided her text messages with the defendants showing their misuse of her and the Me Too movement for the purposes of defaming me. I have suffered significant reputational damage as a result of these allegations and continue to feel the effects of that damage, both in terms of my career and by my ability to be cast in films and personally. The defendants have simply sought to rely on and adopt these untested allegations and use them against me in order to defame me.
And then,
One last thing, right?
yeah.
I believe the article has significantly damaged my reputation both worldwide and in the UK. Certainly it has caused me immense distress that those who have seen my films and know my work should believe capable of the vicious conduct alleged.
Okay. And then he signs it December 12th, 2019. We've just, sorry, finger picture. Don't look because it's not pixelated, I see. Let me scan past that quickly. Okay. So here he is on the gurney that I talked about. There's the cheek wound, cigarette burn, layout of the penthouse, which we will go over in a future episode.
Yeah.
The text messages you successfully read and did a very good job doing. And that's it. We're done.
Okay, I guess we'll wrap it up here with some comments from previous episode. The Last Devil and Misheard. Let me see if I can pull it up. It's never smooth. There's some way I print this shit out, have it separate from the tablet,
Mm-hmm.
because it's just always
Your tablet's probably ready to die right now.
it's actually doing better than I thought.
Okay.
It usually isn't. I don't know why this time it's holding up. I don't understand the power. Let's go to. Well, there was one thing somebody gave you a nice compliment about. It was something to do with. God, was okay, yeah. I forgot this one. From A. Smith.
Okay.
Writes to you. The opening music is awesome. It reminds you of that Blade song in the beginning. Great show, y'all. You've never seen Blade, right?
No.
They use a lot of like what would you call the genre that Nine Inch Nails is? That kind of
People call it
techno.
industrial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of what you use, right? As the theme
No.
song in the.
I looked first, no copyright music. And
No. I mean, like your own creation. It's in that genre. If it were its own thing.
I guess, I don't know. It's just like, it's just called like 80s sound wave music.
Maybe you could work on the musical score for Blade 4.
All right. How much am I getting paid?
You get Wesley Snipes' tax returns.
Yeah. All right. I'm in.
Okay, so this is from the last one. This just came in, I guess.
Yeah, we just posted
Let's start with here's A. Smith again. He's poking off at the button with a brown lit cigarette and 6 skull rings on. I laughed for 8 minutes straight at the visual of that and rewinding that comment. Salute to Arm. Oh, thanks, A. Smith. I really believe he's doing that. I really can see, like, when he's such a Luddite whenever he has to deal with technology.
Mm-hmm.
All that Depp cosplay accoutrements he's got to fight through to. It's just him in any civilian scenario. It fascinates me. They're so out of touch, that I just, even when it's something as simple as that, I'm like, oh my god, he can shut a phone off. That's crazy. Here's Hooper 45. Hey guys, great stuff. Thanks, Hoops.
Thank you.
I have
Hooper.
no dog. This is a great comment because I have no dog in this race in regards to being any Depp head fanboy or any Hollywood drama. I can't remember what made me listen to this for the first time, but I can't get enough of watching these SEMO out of touch with reality, filthy, rich, famous drug alcohol abusers driving a runaway train. Wow, that's well said.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what it is, though, isn't it?
That's what it is. I've said this before. The one thing I'm most proud of with what we do here is we are
not sugarcoating his end.
Well, of course, but we have a new audience who knows nothing about this.
Yeah, I recommend. I would not foist it on you, and I would not have anybody if I didn't think it was absolutely the most fascinating thing in Hollywood history. The fourth wall of it all. It's insane, and it only gets crazier. And there's almost no end to it.
No. Just like this episode.
His life. I would keep going. I keep saying, this isn't meant to be her and him. This podcast, it's him. It's his career. But this is unfortunately, it's all he's been. We've been inundated with in his life, and it's got to drive him crazy. That in the last 7 years or so, all people think about is her with him.
Mm-hmm.
She loves it. She loves being snubbed.
Of course. She dresses all of her current lovers, and I hate that word, her current lovers up as him. They all...
No identity of her own.
Exactly.
Makes me proud he says, it makes me proud of my life, of mediocrity.
Exactly.
Always a pleasure to listen, guys. Yep. Would love for you to run a live chat at some point during the... we will.
Yeah, we
absolutely will.
Mm-hmm.
Rock Candy writes, I think Incredibly Average was threatened with being sued by Amber and was harassed by her fans online. I wonder if harassment would bother him because the Depp heads are so much stronger in terms of volume. But I could definitely see he probably got some weird cease and desist. And he's like not allowed to talk about it or something.
Yeah. Well, he was like the first
Rock
one.
Candy has some intel.
He was the first one, and everybody else jumped on the bandwagon.
And the most effective one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for Depp himself to use this stuff, I think his team is using it the way this guy brilliantly, Brad Pitt voice laid it out. He's driving around with Doug Stanhope, and he says, Johnny, you gotta listen to this shit. Look at this guy. He's got it all for you laid out.
Mm-hmm.
Rock Candy. I think incredibly stupid. Yeah. Thank you, Rock Candy. Again, you got good intel. Here's our buddy Pablo Papano. You guys could discuss Depp's deep cut films if you don't want to focus on this trial crap for too long. Oh, we do, Pablo. Believe me.
I just forced myself to watch Dark Shadows yesterday in preparation for an episode.
Give it a grade.
I will during the episode.
A plus to F. That system.
I'll be happy to announce that during the episode.
When we do Dark Shadows, or
when we do Dark Shadows, yes.
You gonna withhold that from the people? You gonna make
I
them
am.
wait?
I
Could
am.
be a
That's how.
while for Dark Shadows.
I know. All
By
right. I
the
give it a
way,
C.
just to
I
give
give it a
you,
C. A solid C.
and that's all for his performance. I mean, he's the only thing in the film that's even remotely interesting.
Absolutely.
Okay. Great Ray. It's a Warner Brothers property, by the way. So that just furthers your, you know, of the relationship he had with Warner Brothers going into that. That's exactly how she got Aquaman
Mm-hmm.
or to be in Justice League before it. It's
Mm.
just he Depp's in way more Warner Brothers stuff than I think people realize. It's just his relationship with Tim Burton alone can get her any meeting she wanted at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll leave it there.
Thank you. I'm tired of talking. I don't know how you're not. I didn't
Talking
even
about what?
talk. Are you tired of talking?
No, you did a lot. I mean, you
I didn't
definitely.
do anything.
I mean, you're doing a lot of the technical heavy lifting. I think in a lot of ways, I think it's harder.
Nah. I don't know. We're about
I don't.
even. You do a lot of the research. Thank God. I just put the visuals together and do the editing, which isn't really a lot. So.
Oh, it is a lot. It is. I hear the hours you spend and the brilliant interstitials and edits, and it's a lot that goes into that. It's
I
really
appreciate it.
slick looking.
I appreciate it, but I couldn't do
Yep.
any of it without you. So
No, you
God
couldn't.
bless you. I got to go to bed though. I got to get up and go work for the government tomorrow.
I categorically, patently don't deny I have a lot of fun doing this.
Good. I have a lot of fun doing it with you, and I couldn't ask for a better person to do this with. So, God
Categorically
bless. Categorically and irrevocably,
and patently. Okay.
and in infinitum nihil,
And Tenacumpo.
and tentacumpo. All right.
I will never pronounce. Maybe I will. Vanessa Paradis' new husband last
No,
name
nor
again.
will anyone else. So don't worry about it. So, all right, sir.
All right, so thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Good night.